So much. And I have to say, it's really been an honor to have you in our meetings. It's been an honor to be chair of this community board, which is a great neighborhood. And
Thank you. It's my honor. My honor. My honor.
Yeah, well, you're doing amazing. So we should start momentarily because I do want to get into what's going on in Washington. I'm so excited that you're here. But let's start the meeting, Debbie. And as always, I want to welcome. Are we on? We're on. Are we recording?
We're on.
Okay, great. Welcome back to our virtual CB2 board meeting tonight. This is the November meeting of Community Board 2. We start, as we always do, all of our community board meetings with the Pledge of Allegiance. So this is, sorry, my flag's falling over. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So the first item on our agenda are comments from public officials. And I am so thrilled tonight to have Congresswoman Maloney with us, who can give us an update, I hope, right from the center of power and the seat of Congress. And so I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Lisa, and congratulations on your tenure as a great chair of Community Board 2. Great to see everybody. I'm going to be very brief. I hear you have a very, very long schedule tonight and your own debates. We're debating on the floor. We have been working on the Bring Back Better Act, which has tons of great stuff for Queens and New York City and the infrastructure package. We may be voting tonight, we may not. In Congress, it's even more unpredictable than a community board. In terms of Queens, we had one big win with Representative Ocasio-Cortez, and I had a meeting and roundtable and discussion about the large number of polluting power plants in the district we represent. We both testified in opposition to the peaker plant they were planning, and they have terminated that peaker plant. So that is a win for the community, but it's just a start. I'm trying to get another federal hearing on the pollution problems of Asthma Alley and the challenges that we have in Western Queens. We're also working to defeat the Northern Astoria gas plant. And I had a meeting last week, well, actually this week on Tuesday with community leaders and gave out awards to those restaurants that came together and gave out food during the pandemic. And there's an article about it in the Gazette this week. And we also had a meeting with the executives from the mayor's office on EPA resiliency and the storm weather problem that we have that we saw under Ida, where many homes, their basements were flooded. Some were destroyed, not in my district, but in others' districts. It's really bad. So we need a long-term plan on that. So we're working hard, but the American Rescue Plan brought over 100 billion to New York City and state, well, actually city. And we're now working to get the other two done. One of the things that's most important, I think, for us is NYCHA. It will have a tremendous amount of money for NYCHA. We have a backlog of 40 billion in NYCHA. And if we can get that money to help repair NYCHA, that's a huge plan forward. And there are also a lot of Section 8 money is expanded so that there are more subsidized housing and public housing. In other words, there's a lot going on. The plan is not completed, but let's see where it goes. I know that Ernie Brooks is on from my office, is staying on. We'll be able to take messages from all of you, but we may be going back in to vote. So I have to get off now and get back to my duties here. And I'm sure you probably have heard enough because you've got your own agenda to talk about. So I'm going to yield back to you. Unless there are any questions. And if
are
you
there
have
any
time
questions? I mean, we could definitely, you know, ask you 100 questions tonight. I just, you know, I want to we've been hearing repeatedly from our neighbors in Woodside about the damage to their homes due to Hurricane Ida. So I just want to make sure that they're not forgotten. And there are still a lot of people in our neighborhood who are suffering from having had flooded basements and FEMA money not forthcoming. And, you know, we hear a lot from folks in this neighborhood. So, you know,
On
please keep that
Ida,
in
you
your
can
heart.
go to my website at maloney.house.gov. You can sign up for my weekly newsletter on what's happening in Congress that goes into greater detail. It also has a section on Ida and how to apply for monies, or you can call my office. If you have been flooded and have damage, you can get up to $37,000. There's a way you apply for it. And a lot of people had their homes absolutely, completely, and totally destroyed. You can call my office at 212-860-0606, but there is a whole section on how you apply for money. We had roughly 98 billion is what the governor requested. I think she probably got it, just as for just personal grants. There are other grants for resiliency and other things that we can work on together. That was what part of our meeting was on Monday with Queens Delivers and Queens United. And we should really include in our next meeting someone from the community board. So Ernie can tell you more about that meeting, but I have to sign off. But thank you.
We'll let you
my
go.
website for more information on how to get aid from Ida, to recover from Ida.
That's very helpful. Thank you so much for all you're doing. Have a great night. Good luck. Okay. Very exciting. So let's see, who else is in the room tonight? And Jack, are you here from Jimmy Van Bramer's office?
Hi, I'm here. Can you hear and see me?
Hey, yes.
Hi, everybody. Good to start.
Yes, please.
Cool. Hi, everybody. Jack Bernatovitz here on behalf of Council Member Jimmy Van Bramer with some updates on the past month. First off, the council member would like to share his heartfelt condolences to the family and loved ones of Xian Tu, the bicyclist who was fatally struck by a box truck in Sunnyside on Wednesday. Lives are being lost far too often in our streets to simply sit idly by and accept this as normal. The city needs more truly protected bike lanes and to invest in safer streets for all New Yorkers. Last week, the council member co-hosted Neighborhood Night at MoMA PS1 with director Kate Fowl, featuring after-hours exhibition entry, gallery talks, art making activities, and cocktails in the courtyard. It was great to see so many familiar faces, especially folks from CP2 and the Borough President's Office attending. And also in October, the council member helped bring Drag Queen Story Hour to Skillman Avenue in collaboration with the Sunnyside Woodside Open Streets. Drag superstar Bella Noche hosted a bilingual story time in the middle of the open street. Council member is proud to support fierce programs like Drag Queen Story Hour that bring culture and diversity to our community. I want to do a special shout out to Laura, Amparo, and Sandra for all their help making this happen. Keeping with the theme of drag, the Committee on Cultural Affairs and Libraries heard support for the council member's bill to create a drag laureate program in New York City, similar to the city's poet laureate or the artist in residency programs we have. This introduction would require the Department of Cultural Affairs and the Office of Nightlife to annually appoint a new drag laureate. Drag arts have a rich history in New York City, and this new program would highlight and solidify drag artists' place in New York City's cultural community. And at the hearing, the committee also heard legislation that would recognize November 20th annually as Transgender Day of Remembrance and March 31st annually as Transgender Day of Visibility, along with supporting the Puerto Rico Self-Determination Act of 2020 in Congress. Also, the council member is working to pass Introduction 1775B, aka Skip the Stuff, before the end of his term. The bill would prohibit takeout and delivery services from providing plastic utensils, condiments, napkins, unless the customers explicitly request them, and has recently been highlighted by the Daily News, City Limits, and New York One. The small change to the way we order food would drastically reduce the amount of disposable plastic in our landfills and incarcerators, while also saving small businesses more than $3,000 per year. So that is all I have for y'all this month. Happy Diwali to all those who are celebrating, and happy to answer questions.
Any questions for Jack? Great, thank you for being here, Jack. Always a pleasure. Assembly Member Barnwell.
Hey, how you doing?
Great.
Thanks for having me. I'll be quick as well. We're having our annual turkey drive. If you want to donate a turkey for us in the community, please call my office, 718-651-3185. We take as many turkeys as possible, and people who reach out to us who need turkey, we partner and give them the turkeys. And any excess turkeys, we actually donate to Woodside and the Move. So thank you for Woodside and the Move for helping with that and distributing turkeys to the community. We're also taking food donations. Our canned food drive is indefinite. It continues. So if anyone wants to donate any canned foods, whether or not they're Thanksgiving related, we'll take them. We donate them to the local food pantries, and anyone that needs help with with food, and we will definitely help them. Obviously, sign up for SNAP, but SNAP does take a little bit of time. So we also have some food at the office for anyone that needs food immediately. So if you know someone who really needs food in ASAP, definitely tell them to call our office and we can help coordinate, get them some food. If possible, we can even deliver it to them. Our community cleanups continue. We're doing it all over the neighborhood, from Astoria, Long Island City, Sunnyside, all the way to Woodside, Maspeth, and Middle Village, even Elmhurst and Rego Park. So, we're looking to, obviously it's getting a little cold, but, we're looking to clean up the community as much as possible. And luckily, it doesn't seem like the mandate will take away too many city workers, but we were kind of worried about that, especially with sanitation, cleanups and pickups. But it seems like we're going to be okay. But if you have problem spots in the community, please let us know. We're still working with sanitation to get some cameras for illegal dumping spots to kind of deter that. And I guess real quick, I'll just mention that the governor did sign our insurance bill. This problem was seen more in Maspeth and Middle Village with the massive sewer projects, and Woodside as well, where basically over the last 5-6 years, the city would contract with contractors and subcontractors, and they would damage people's homes, and they wouldn't give them their insurance information. So people didn't even know who to sue and go after for reimbursement. And some of these homes had damaged foundations and severe damage to homes, and basically nothing could be done because they weren't getting the answers until they called our office. So we drafted a bill to mandate, it takes effect in 180 days, that will mandate that if a contractor or a subcontractor is doing work on your home, they have to give you their insurance information, the contact information, the phone number, etc. So that immediately, if something were to happen, who to call and how to file a claim. That's really it. Just we'll say those things, and we'll stay as long as possible. Thank you.
That's very helpful. Thank you. There is a question from Jake DeGroot.
Sure.
Hi, Assembly Member. Thank you for being here. Appreciate
My pleasure. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right, thanks. I do have a question that's actually kind of an oldie at this point. It's a question that I've been meaning to ask you for almost a year and haven't had the chance until now, but better late than never. I'm wondering if you could speak for a moment about your opposition to the cannabis legalization bill and why you think that bill would not have been a good thing for our community.
Well, I find it kind of interesting that it's been almost a year and I've been at community board meetings about 2 or 3 times, and you have been at the meetings and you haven't reached out to me or asked me questions. And on top of that, I have a cell phone that everyone is aware of, and actually some of your friends have actually called me personally about. So I kind of find that interesting that you waited this long and had many of these opportunities. But very frankly, it was an 85-page bill, and I think if I gave you an 85-page document right now to read and you had 2 hours to read it, yeah, I think that's kind of unfair. Wouldn't you think so?
So you're saying you voted against it because you didn't understand what was in the bill?
I answered your question. Can you answer my question? And I'll answer yours. If you
Well,
had an 85,
obviously, I'm not a professional assembly member with a professional
it doesn't
staff,
matter.
and I don't know what the process is
Sure.
like from seeing previous drafts of the bill. So
sure. Well,
it's a hypothetical that I don't think I can quite engage in.
Then you're answering your own question. You can't even answer a question. If I gave you an 85-page document and I asked you to vote,
Assembly member, with all
Sir,
due respect,
sir,
this
sir,
was
you're
your
not-
vote, and I'm asking you to speak to it. So it's not about me or what I would have done. It's about your choice and how you voted.
Sir, listen to me. This is what you do. This is what your friends do. I've seen the message.
This is what I do?
Sir, can I speak? You asked a question. I'm answering a question. Let me speak. Yes, you, Jake DeGroot. That's your name, right?
Yes, sir.
This is what you and your friends do. I've seen the messages, I've seen the communications, trying to one-up me. I'm not stupid. You might think I am, but I'm not stupid. I'm answering your question. The simple fact is it was an 85-page bill. They gave you 1 hour to read it and said vote on it. I'm sorry, I don't vote on things that I don't have time to read. When you get 1 hour to vote on a bill, that's unacceptable. You know, some of my colleagues in the federal government, for example, time and time again talk about how they don't have time to read bills because they're presented to them in an hour span. And then they vote no because they didn't get a chance to read it. And they're praised for doing that. So I'm frankly telling you right now that it was an 85, maybe even more than 85-page bill. They gave you 1 hour to read it, 2 hours to read it, didn't conference it, and they asked you to vote on it. So no, I'm not going to vote. It could be about marijuana. It could be about whatever you insert, whatever topic you want to do. There's plenty of times that I voted on bills that I've actually agreed with the concept, but because I can't vote on a bill, it's 85 pages long in an hour, I voted no. Just like I
Thank
would
you,
hope.
thank you. Thank you, Assembly Member. Thank you very much.
I found the way that someone made that
Roz,
exchange personal very disconcerting.
Jake,
Very disconcerting and upsetting.
I missed what you said there, sir. What'd you say?
I said I'm upset with how personal you made that exchange. I asked a respectful question in the context of a public meeting,
Well,
and for you to make that, turn it around and make it personal about me
seems
I'll
be very honest
totally
with you, sir.
inappropriate.
I've seen the comments by you personally, so you know it's a factual statement. What I said, you can disagree with and be upset all you want, but maybe you should treat people better then.
So Jake, please leave it be for now. You asked your question. There was an answer. I'm going to turn it over to Roz Janus.
Hi, Assembly Member
How are you?
Brian. I'm good. How are you?
I'm okay, I guess.
Well, so my question is, now that much time has passed and you've had plenty of time to read that bill, did you read
Well,
it?
I never got to read it because
Oh,
it
you
was
didn't.
it was
read
voted
it.
on. We have 1,000 bills that are introduced per year that are actually get voted on, and so I never had to. Once it passed, I'm not going to go back and read a bill that for 85 pages when I have the next bill has 30 pages and the next bill is 50 pages, et cetera, and so on.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
No problem.
I think that's it for questions.
Oh, shucks. Always
Thank
here.
you.
Again, I'm going to say, anyone call me anytime, 917, personal cell phone, 917-363-7081. Some of your fellow board members did call me and ask me, and I had a normal conversation, no problem. Always open to as much as possible, a conversation as possible.
Steve, did you have a question?
Yeah, it's very brief, or I don't know if it's a question or a suggestion. Brian, I understand your reasons, whether I agree with them or not. But after the fact, don't you have a staff where if you don't, something should be done so that your staff can at least read it and inform you after the fact?
I don't trust. It wasn't that. It was a couple
No, I'm
things.
not talking about the vote. Brian, I'm not talking about the vote. I fully understand your reasoning on that. But to be honest with you, after the fact, somebody should have read it.
Oh, after the fact, fair enough. After the fact, sure. I mean, but I read all my bills, so.
I'm sure you did it. Right? I'm just kind of surprised that nobody in your office has told you. I mean, I haven't read it
What do you mean
either,
told
so I
me?
don't know. Okay.
What do you mean told me? What do you mean?
No, I'm surprised that somebody in your staff hasn't read the bill and talked to you about it, so that when someone asks you now, you couldn't comment on it. That's all I'm saying. It's not a
That's fair,
criticism.
but again, it's always been me reading bills, so that's probably why. But that's fair.
If you need help, I'd help you.
I just want to interject in this conversation for a second because it's not clear to me that your office has a position on the legalization of cannabis in the state. Do you?
Do I have an opinion on
A position on the legal?
I'm open to any and all issues, and it depends on the specifics of the bill. I need to see the bill, just like any other issue.
So
not 100% against it, not 100% against it, not 100% for it. I got to see the bill. Does it make sense? What does it say?
So you don't generally have a direction that you would seek to legislate?
What do you mean?
Well, if you were in favor of legalization of cannabis, you might seek to draft a bill that would have sufficient precautions that would satisfy you to approve the legalization of cannabis. If you were opposed to it,
well,
you would draft a bill
so...
opposed to legalization of cannabis. It's all.
Yeah, it already passed, so it is not really That's not, if I wrote a bill tomorrow saying, actually, you can make an argument that I would be for it then, because technically, since it's legal, if I was against it, then I would go draft the bill saying, let's get rid of it. It's already passed, it's legal.
Well,
Thank you.
abortion is legal right now too, but who knows for how long?
Well,
I guess.
okay, we're gonna move on.
No, you can move on. Any questions? Happy to take more.
I think that's okay, but thank you. I'm gonna move on to Mercedes Jennings from Senator Gianaris's office.
Good evening, everyone. So again, Mercedes Jennings from Senator Mike Gianaris's office. So just to give you a quick update, last week we had a mobile van in front of Athens Park doing testing, COVID testing. It was both rapid testing and PCD testing. Our office is currently working on trying to do another one in that same area, especially because it's surrounding about 5 different schools within a 2 or 3 block radius. And also just reminding everyone that starting next week, I believe it's on November 10th, Wednesday, from 7 in the morning to 11 o'clock. Most of the public schools in New York City, I'm not sure if charter schools are doing it. I could follow up with everyone, but public schools will be having vaccines available to children ages 5 to 11 for parents that want their children vaccinated. So that will be available within the school. So you don't have to take your child to a doctor or anything like that. It'll be available within the schools if you want your child to have it. In addition to that, our office is currently doing our Thanksgiving event where we're having children writing their best Thanksgiving event and activities. We definitely would like as many children as possible to get involved and write their letters, and they're giving out small little prizes from the senator's office. So please, if you have any minor children, definitely have them participate in that. And I can take any questions, and please know that our office is here to provide any support. If you're having issues still with the ERAP applications or getting anything from IDA concerning FEMA, please let our office know, and we can provide support. I'll even give my information in the chat. Are there any questions? I can't be that good.
No,
Okay,
but I do know people having problems with ERAP, so
Yes.
maybe they would reach out to you.
Please do let them. I know some of the CB2 rep. Sure, yes. Hi.
Hi, thank you so much. I was wondering if
Hi,
you could
Tom.
follow
How are you?
I'm excellent, thank you. So I just want to follow up as it relates to our request for an update on the state parks underneath the Kosciuszko Bridge. The Brooklyn side is well appointed and completed, and on the Queens side, I saw that we put up construction signs, but nothing else. So I just wondered where we are with the state parks on the Queens side of the bridge.
I know Sam from my office, which I know you have been speaking with him, has been following up with that. Let me speak to him and see if he got any more updates on that, because I know that he's trying to make sure that that part of the park is also developed. Because you brought it to
No,
we
thank
didn't
you.
get that.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem. Any
Thank
other
you,
questions?
Tom. No, I just want to advise community board members, if you've asked your question, you don't have another question, please put your hand down.
Okay.
Michelle, thank you, Mercedes, very much.
You're welcome.
Michelle Luna from Representative Ocasio-Cortez.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Michelle Luna, and I'm a constituent liaison and field representative at the Office of Representative Ocasio-Cortez. The Congresswoman is on the Hill right now, working with her colleagues to pass the most consequential bills of our time. Infrastructure and Build Back Better negotiations are ongoing, but the Congresswoman is committed to delivering strong environmental, social, and physical infrastructure provisions in both bills. And this is really important. If you are a constituent and feel strongly about any of these issues, we want to hear from you. I will make sure to share all of our contact info in the chat. And then regarding FEMA, if you filed a claim with FEMA and were denied, you have the right to appeal. Disaster legal services are now available. A toll-free legal assistance hotline is available to those affected by severe storms and flooding caused by Hurricane Ida. And I will put that information in the chat as well.
Thank you, Michelle. Are there questions for Michelle? Okay. I look forward to hearing the report out of what's in the bill. Thank you. Let's see who else is here. Craig from Councilperson Holden's office.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me tonight.
Hi, Craig. I just want to say congratulations on Councilperson Holden's reelection.
Oh, thank you. Yes, we will be around for the next council session. Past weekend, we had a great Halloween events and separate events in Maspeth, Middle Village, and Glendale that the council member attended. Additionally, the previous week, the council member met with the commissioner of the DEP about flooding. We're going to be getting a regular schedule sent to us on catch basin cleaning. That was an issue a lot of constituents brought to our attention. Additionally, in terms of big picture, we held a hearing on geospatial technology, which can really help us identify potential flooding areas down to specific blocks. So Councilmember Holden is a co-sponsor of Councilmember Levin's bill that would actually elevate the position of Geoinformation Spatial Officer to the mayor's office. So the idea being we want this technology used more readily throughout the city government. And we think, it could really have an impact in future flooding issues and future climate change issues. So we're trying to make this a big issue, and the bill's already got a hearing. So hoping to get a vote in before the end of the session. Additionally, the council member introduced legislation that will allow police to confiscate vehicles who are getting noise violations for having speakers attached. So on the second noise violation, the police will be able to confiscate the vehicle. Noise has been a big issue in the Maspeth Woodside area, but really throughout the district. So we're trying to address it through legislation and close up some of the loopholes that are preventing police from apprehending multiple offenders. And then finally, we also have legislation that got introduced that would prohibit companies from selling these products that obscure license plates. You may have seen that this has been a big issue in the media lately. We actually already have 27 co-sponsors, and the legislation already had a hearing. And that bill was only introduced about a month ago, so it's moving very quickly. Again, we're hoping we get a vote in before the end of the session, but we will be around, for the next city council session. And this is so incredibly popular, this bill. If we don't get in this time, we're pretty confident we're going to get in the next session. We're always taking constituent calls. So if there's any issue, you feel that needs to be addressed that's not, please give us a call. We're going to jump right on it. I think we got a pretty good reputation for handling constituent calls. That's all I got for now. If you guys have any questions, I'll be here for you. If not, I'll send it back to you, Lisa.
Thank you, Craig. Any questions for Councilperson Holden? Seeing none. Thank you very much, Craig.
Thanks.
We'll move on to Khalil Bragg from the Queens Borough President's office.
Hey, Lisa, how you doing? Borough President sends his regards, and it's great to see you. And we're happy for your tenure throughout Community Board 2. No crazy announcements tonight. We do have our Borough Board meeting on Monday coming, and we have DYCD as well as the Department of Environmental Protection presenting at those meetings. We're still trying to plan out our holiday events. Once we get set dates and times, we will send out the flyers to the board. We do have a town hall, but it'll be for Northwest Queens. So it'll be at Queensboro Community College. That'll be on Tuesday. If someone knows anyone that lives in that area, I'll put all my information in the chat, and I'll put the website as well, so you can RSVP for that area. I do have to leave. I originally wasn't supposed to be on the call because I have to catch a flight soon. I told Deborah, but I will be listening in until then. If anyone has any questions, I'll be glad to answer them, or you can contact me. I'll leave everything in the chat.
Thank you, Khalil. Any questions for Khalil? Please, Khalil, extend our congratulations to the borough president on his election.
Will do. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good flight. Be careful. Jacqueline from Queens DA's office.
Thanks so much. Good to be here with everyone. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Oh, and of course, happy Diwali. So I'll try to be quick. I just have two main items at the top. So first, District Attorney Katz will be hosting a gun buyback event in partnership with State Senator Ramos, Assemblymember Aubrey, and Councilmember Moya to give gun owners the opportunity to trade in their operable firearms in return for cash cards and iPads. This event will take place this Saturday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at First Baptist Church in Corona. And those interested in attending can visit us online at queensda.org and or follow us on social media at QueensDA Cats for upcoming updates and event information. And of course, speaking of Diwali, we invite everyone to join us for our in-person celebration this Monday, November 8th at 6 p.m. located at the Gujarati Samaj of New York. That's 17315 Horace Harding Expressway in Kew Gardens. You can RSVP attendance today by visiting queensda.org and signing up. And that's all I have from our Community Partnerships Division. So of course, we encourage anyone to reach out with any questions on these events and initiatives, and I'll make sure to leave my contact information in the chat for everyone to access. Thanks so much and happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Any questions from board members? Thank you, Jacqueline. I don't see any other elected officials. If anybody is here who's an elected official, please let me know. I don't see anybody else. So we have with us tonight Monica Guzman before we move on to our representative from the police department. I'm sorry, Lieutenant Monahan. 1 minute. Oh, and sorry, Maria Bolanos. Maria, are you there?
Hi, sorry. I think something was wrong with my mic for a moment. My name is Maria Bolanos. I am the Queensborough Director from the Mayor's Office in Community Affairs. I don't really have any updates, just that we're hosting with Woodside on the Move a cultural Thanksgiving on November 20th on 69th and Roosevelt. It's a Saturday from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. If there is any concerns or any issues with any constituents, please feel free to either email me or give me a call. I am going to leave my information in the chat. Or if anybody has anything they want to bring up now, you know, I'm more than happy to hear them out.
Does anybody have any questions for Monica? I mean, for Maria? I apologize.
It's okay.
Maria, thank you for being with us tonight.
Thank you so much for having me.
Great. Monica Guzman, are you here?
I am. Do you want me to go before the lieutenant?
Yeah, just go and then we'll turn it over.
Sure.
They'll
Okay.
speak longer than you will. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Lisa. So representing Sunnyside Community Services, November happens to be National Caregivers Month and Alzheimer's Awareness Month. Sunnyside Community Services has programs to support people in both of these areas. So please reach out to us if you or you know someone who needs support. In fact, on next Tuesday, we're happy to report that we are going to be opening our Social Adult Day program back for in-person programming. This is a program that helps people with cognitive impairments and provides much needed respite to the families, especially those who, you know, for 19 months have been doing it on their own at home. Also happy to report that we're going to host our first public in-person event on Saturday, November 13th. We're hosting a concert of classical and jazz musicians. It's New Music Horizons, led by Long Island City-based artist Mark Wade and Sunnyside residents David Shenton. The event is free, but registration is required. Tickets are going very fast, much to our delight. So if you do want to attend, please sign up. You can find information on the website. And as always, thank you to the community board and the community at large for their support, especially during these last 19 months. Thank you.
Any questions for Monica or Sunnyside? Thanks, Monica. See you soon. So if there are no other elected officials, or is there anyone from Woodside on the Move to speak tonight? Our community-based organizations. I am going to.
Hello.
Did I miss somebody?
Yeah, yes, I'm Adriana from Woodside on the Move, and I have some updates of
some of the activities that we are doing this month. First of all, it's we are partnering with 60 Dental and Woodside to offer a free COVID testing during the week, except Mondays from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And the location is in 61st and Roosevelt and the 70th Street and Roosevelt. Also, Housing Department is having Know Your Rights workshop every Thursday from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. in our main office. So you don't need to make an appointment. You can come and just sign up for every Thursday. Also, our virtual housing clinic is back and is gonna be on November 30th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. We will put in the chat the link for that workshop, for the workshop. And also what's on the move is creating the Youth on the Move. It's a brand new youth lead initiative from the age of 16 to 25 years old. And last week, it was launched last week and in our communities, and we are hoping to get, you know, the young adults in the community to join us. Our main thing is to get together in the community, advocates, volunteer, and working with local communities to make Woodside better. And that's all our updates, and happy Diwali to all.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. And November 30th, what are you doing on November 30th?
The Housing Legal Clinic. So every
And
month.
It's on Zoom?
It's on Zoom. The link for that legal clinic will be shared on the chat today.
Very good. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, moving right along.
Lisa.
Yeah.
Lisa, we have a few people signed up from, I would say, community organizations. Should we have them speak now or after our guest?
I think I'm going to turn it over right now to Lieutenant Monahan, and then we'll do further public comment. So that would be great. Thanks, Anatol.
Good evening,
so,
everyone.
Yeah, thank you. So we had originally planned to have Deputy Inspector Wise with us, but she's otherwise detained. And so welcome Lieutenant Monahan to give us an update from the 108th Precinct. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much. You know, as far as the 108 Precinct is going, I'm the Special Operations Lieutenant in the precinct. I'd just like to bring you an update as to what's going on in the community. In the last 4 weeks, the 108 Precinct is actually experiencing a slight uptick in crimes. And those are particularly coming from property-driven crimes, burglaries, grand larcenies, as well as street-level robberies. So all elected officials that may be on this call, I'd just like you guys to reach out to your constituents, friends, neighbors, let them know that, you know, these crimes, please don't be leaving your lives in your vehicles, computers, laptops, purses, wallets. It's very instantaneous crime. It's very easy for someone just to see it and take advantage, as well as, you know, I get it, the winter's coming and it's getting a little colder outside. So you want to keep your cars warm. We're seeing a lot of vehicle thefts where people are running into, you know, 7-Elevens, leaving their cars running, and then someone's just walking by they see the car operating, they literally just jump right into the driver's side and take off in the car. It takes, you know, it might take you 3 minutes to go in and grab a cup of coffee, but it's taking these people less than a minute just to jump in and take off in a vehicle. So, you know, in the last 4 weeks, you know, we're up 15.6% in 7 majors. It's 104 that we've taken versus the same 28-day period last year where we only took 90. And as I said before, you know, these are really property crimes that are driving these crimes. Also, if you could please give us a follow on Twitter. Our handle is @NYPD 108 Precinct. We give you all the latest updates as far as, you know, what to look out for in the community, crimes that are happening, as well as events such as the representative previously mentioned the gun buyback program. And, you know, this Sunday coming up is the New York City Marathon. So we do have street closures within the 108 precinct that is posted up there.
Can you
Also-
talk about, I mean, where, you know, the 108th is, the marathon goes right through this neighborhood. So can you talk about which streets are going to be closed? Do you
I
know that
absolutely-
offhand?
Give me one moment. I have it right here.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. So we have no parking from the Pulaski Bridge to 11th Street and 48 Avenue, Vernon Boulevard to 11th Street, Vernon Boulevard from 50 Avenue to 44 Drive, 10th Street from Vernon Boulevard to 44 Drive, 44 Drive to Hunter Street to Crescent Street to Queens Plaza South. So those streets are going to be shut down if you know people that do park in that area. If they have their, if they, you know, overnight they forget and they leave the vehicle there, it's going to be towed to a safe, you know, area where, you know, there's no street.
Where does it get towed to?
It's going to be towed depending on where the availability is. So, right, let's say I park my car there, and the next morning after the marathon, I show up and I'm like, oh my goodness, where's my car? You could call the precinct, the NYPD tow trucks. They let us know where they are, and we'll just direct you to where your vehicle has been relocated to. Ideally,
And when does it begin? Like when do they tow? They tow Saturday night?
There will be no parking signs up, you know, but, you know, for whatever reason, sometimes people don't see them. You know, it's not a big deal. You know, it's not like you're getting, you know, you won't be ticketed if your vehicle's left there. Again, it's just relocated. Reach out to the 108 precinct or any precinct for that matter. We could run the plate and find out where it's been relocated to. Realistically, it's usually it's within walking distance.
Mhm.
You know, also just to piggyback off of what I said about the vehicle thefts that are happening in the neighborhood. Just last week, we have the NYPD property clerk is in the 108 precinct on Pearson Place. A gentleman came to pick up his property, said, hey, listen, you know, it's not ready for, you know, property's not ready. He left the location, walked across the street, rolled the camera, jumped into a vehicle that a gentleman left running as he was feeding the meter and took off in that vehicle. Now, an arrest was made on that after officers did an investigation and, you know, were able to make contact with the gentleman. He actually showed up the next day back to Pearson Place in a vehicle that a different vehicle that he had stolen in the 90 precinct in Brooklyn North about 3 hours earlier. So people that do these vehicle thefts, they, you know, they constantly do it, and it's very easy, you know, it's very easy for them just to jump around and be in a new vehicle the next day. So again, please reach out to, you know, your constituents, friends, neighbors. I get it. The weather's getting cold. Just please shut off. You know, if you're going to run and grab a cup of coffee, just take the keys out of the vehicle, shut it off, and just jump back in. Are there any questions?
Yeah, I mean, there will be some more. I have 2 questions before we
All right.
turn over to more questions, but I wanted to ask you, first off, can you talk about the police exam for a second? Is the deadline for that over, or is that still?
Yeah, the deadline finished yesterday. We've been having recruitment drives all throughout the department. In the 108 precinct, we've been going to high schools, you know, as far as signing people up. We've been doing just pop-up stands. We also have the NYPD recruitment section where we're just, you know, trying to get as many people as possible to sign up. You know, that way we can, you know, fill up the police academy.
Right, and can you talk about the geographic areas where crime has spiked?
Sure, absolutely. We're particularly getting hit in what's called the Sector Charlie and Sector David in the which is the eastern end of the 108 precincts, down Queens Boulevard, Roosevelt Avenue, 6th-9th Street. In that particular avenue area is the 7-Eleven on Queens Boulevard and the BQE right there. That's the border with the 110 precinct. That's where the majority of our crimes are occurring. We also have Sector Adam, which is Center Boulevard. A lot of the property crimes are happening there, Long Island City. And when I say Sector Adam, I mean like the Woodside area. Okay. That's Sector Charlie David is the Woodside community. Long Island City is Sector Adam. We're getting a lot of scooter thefts from the Long Island City area, people leaving their motorcycles, scooters on Hunter Street and Hunter Street, Orchard Street, Jackson Avenue, and middle of the night, criminals are rolling up in white Ford Econoline vans, taking the scooter, throwing it off the back of into the back of the van, taking off with them. So again, like I said, a lot of the crime that's happening in the 108 is very property related, nonviolent property related.
Thank you. There are a number of questions. Camille, and then Laura, and then Mary.
Thank you. I have 3 questions, comments. So one is about, I'm seeing a number of abandoned vehicles on Jackson Avenue. What can we do about that? The second is, I don't know how to ask this question, but there was a murder that occurred in the district in August. I don't know if the question is what's the status, but is that still being investigated?
One as best I can, don't worry about it, I understand.
And then the third is, I've seen police vehicles idling or parking in crosswalks. What can be done about that, or what should I do?
All right, so for your first question is the abandoned vehicles on Jackson Avenue. That's certainly not an issue. What I'd recommend is taking a photo of them and calling 311. The NYPD will get dispatched to it. What we do is we have an NCO office. Our NCOs do tow operations where they'll go out to community streets where there are high volumes of these abandoned vehicles. We'll do an assessment. Anything that's left that appears to be abandoned or derelict, we'll actually tow it off and get it off out of the neighborhood. Moving to the homicide that occurred, I can't really speak too much to it. It is an active investigation. There's can you elaborate, like what specific? This is still there?
I don't have an elaboration.
Okay, I mean, it is, listen, that is an isolated incident. It's just currently being investigated. Is not, I'd be more, it's just being investigated as an isolated incident. It's not something to overly concern yourself with at this point. And then the third question, police cars idling in crosswalks. I don't know like the particulars of that. It could be that they're responding to an emergency call. We really can't sometimes.
Parking. Getting takeout from the food truck. Yeah.
I'm sorry?
They were getting takeout from a food truck.
Takeout from a food truck. Okay, that's not an issue. I mean, we do speak with the officers as well when we hit the roll calls, let them know, hey, listen, you got to find illegal parking when you're doing that. If it's in relation to responding to a 911 call, 311 calls, we can't really prioritize finding legal parking versus, answering a 911 call where someone needs help.
And in the food truck scenario, what should be done? What should I do?
It's I'm sorry. Oh no, that's for the police cars. No, that's just something that I can reach out and I'll speak with all the officers in regards to that. It's something that I'm gonna have to see. If you want to take a photo of it, that's not a problem. Time, things like that. That way I know exactly who is doing that and it can be addressed properly.
Thank you. And what's the timeline for removing a vehicle once it's been reported?
It all depends. It all depends on the scenario. I know if you do 311 right now, for whatever reason, the system sometimes gives an automated, it takes up to 8 hours to have a non-emergency response to this. The one-way precinct is actually very good on that timeline, usually within an hour, because 311s are not emergency. We do get prioritize our response to things. One-way precinct is responding to 311 complaints within the hour. So officers would respond, see what's going on. Okay, this is legit. Abandoned vehicle. They'll proceed with the tow procedure.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you. Laura, before you go, Laura, I just want to remind members of the public that the question and answer at this point are for members only. Thank you. Laura, and then Mary, and then Rob.
Thank you. A couple of things to echo some of Camille's concerns. A lot of 311 complaints have been getting closed with no action taken. Where do we report our closed 311 reports when the problem still persists? That's one question. Another, as Camille mentioned, a lot of police officers are parking in crosswalks, on sidewalks, and in bike lanes routinely. This is just rampant in the Vernon Boulevard bike lane, on the 49th Avenue Bridge, multiple locations throughout the precinct. And also, you voiced a lot of concern about property crimes, but we've had 743 injuries to human beings in the 108th precinct this year, including 60 in the last month. Just briefly looking at Crash Mapper, driver distraction and inattention is the leading cause. So I would like to know how many summonses you've issued and what you're doing about this. We had a fatality in Sunnyside this morning and one on the Honeywell Bridge just a couple of weeks ago.
So when you're saying injuries to people, you're strictly speaking
Traffic
vehicular
violence. Traffic violence, yes.
traffic violence. Okay, hold on one moment. Okay. So as far as the hazardous summonses go for the vehicle accidents, year to date, we've written 390. That's like disobeying the stop signs, seat belts, cell phones, texting while driving. Now, with parking summons in relations to the bike lanes being blocked, we actually currently have active operations going on in the precinct, particularly where the vehicular death occurred the other day on 47th Street and 47th Avenue, as well as 39 Avenue bike lane in the Blissville area, correct? No, I'm sorry.
That's Sunnyside and Woodside.
Yeah, so we're working as far as ticketing and motorist education in regards to blocking the bike lanes, double parked vehicles, as well as scooter operations where we're confiscating people that are riding these motorized scooters, the electric scooters in the bike lanes. We just did one the other week on the 59th Street Bridge, in a way to help curb accidents with bicyclists that have the right of way to be in them.
I mean, there's a space issue there, but anyway, part of my question was, what are you doing regarding your own officers who park police vehicles in bike lanes and on sidewalks?
Yeah, like I said before, that's a matter of educating the officers and speaking with them. I said to the last speaker, if they could take a photo of the vehicle, give me a time and date. You can send it to my personal job email. I'll reach out to the integrity control officer. We can absolutely look into those. That's not an issue. If you have a pen ready, I could give you my email.
Sure, I'll take that down.
Let me know when you're ready.
Ready.
You could put it in the chat.
Yeah, got to.
It's ryan.monhanat@nypd.org. The link wasn't working. I wasn't able to log onto the computer, so I'm doing this on my cell phone. Sorry.
Okay. Great, thank you very much. You got that, Laura? You got that address? Okay, somebody put it in the chat.
Oh, thank you.
ryan.monahan, MONAHAN@nypd.org, right?
Yes, perfect.
Great, thank you very much. Mary, and then Roz.
Thank you. Sorry to be a broken record, but my question was about personal cars of NYP people with placards parking, not even in zebra lanes or bike lanes, but actually parking in a line of right in the lane of traffic regularly, right on Vernon Boulevard in the northbound lane, right at 50th Avenue, a half a block from the precinct, opposite the bus station. So my concern with that is it's not even a zebra lane, not even a zebra stripe section. It's an actual lane of traffic. And when you're crossing over Vernon Boulevard going towards Jackson Avenue, when you're heading, I guess that would be technically east, you can't see the oncoming traffic. So even if you're on the light and you're crossing and you have the right of way as a pedestrian, you can't see the traffic as they're coming up, and they can't see you because there's literally somebody's personal vehicle sitting in an actual lane.
Okay.
It's been an ongoing issue. I could gladly send you a picture, but like you guys walk by it every day. And it's been blatant. It's just a blatant disregard to the safety of the pedestrians in the neighborhood. So I just would really like to see that addressed.
Yeah, no problem. You could send me a picture. That'd be fantastic.
You don't even need a picture. If you walk right out the door, you could probably see it now, but I'm more than happy to send a photo every time I see it. Yeah.
So I'll let the integrity control officer know that he does the self-enforcement in and around the one-way precinct. So that's not an issue to be addressed.
Okay, thank you. I know.
Oh. Do we have more questions or?
Oh, you're
Lisa, you're on mute.
You're on mute. You're muted.
Somebody
Yeah.
muted
I
me.
think we're on.
Roz and then Sheila.
I have a general comment question and a more specific one. The general one is, I mean, as you went at great length talking about property crimes and not to leave our stuff in our cars and so on. And as Laura was pointing out, the number of people who lose not their property, but their lives and their well-being. You know, it seems like there's a disproportionate emphasis and doing more to work towards street safety and preventing some of these problems. Now, the specific comment has to do with following up somewhat on Councilmember Holden's proposed legislation about the plates being defaced and so on. But I'm concerned also about plates which are patently bogus, all the ones that come from Texas. Now, all of these vehicles have VINs. The Texas plates are gotten just off the internet. I haven't tried to get one, but it'd be a good thing to investigate how to do that. But in the meantime, seems to me that there should be some accountability. Isn't this the job of the police department to get these, you know, unlicensed vehicles? And I gather part of the concern is that they are not just evading tolls, they're likely doing this in part to evade criminal activity. And it really is much more serious than we think.
Absolutely, 100%. Actually, we're finding that the shootings that are occurring throughout the city, a lot of the perpetrators are using vehicles, not just stolen vehicles, but vehicles that have bogus plates. New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Texas DMV, you can actually go online and just print it out. Actually, the one-way precinct is currently leading Queens North in arrests for the forgery of plates. Just the other day, we had one, but what's that? NCO. Yeah, the NCO office has, in the last month, has brought in 6 different vehicles with fake plates. And in that scenario, we take the vehicle as arrest evidence, and we vouch for the plates. We do have the NYPD has an auto larceny unit that does look into further investigations with that. But as far as enforcement level in the 108, yes, the one-way precinct is leading Queens North with arrests for these fake plates. Matter of fact, the other day, also going back to what I said earlier about the burglaries, the NCO public safety team had a scooter come over with a fake plate. They stopped the scooter. Scooter came back. It was actually stolen. The person that was riding the scooter is actually a burglary recidivist that is from the Bronx and does all his burglaries in the Woodside area. So yeah, we're fully aware of criminals circumventing the system by using these bogus plates. And I guarantee you drive 10 minutes in New York City, you're probably going to see at least 2 or 3 that may be fake.
Well, I have to say, I think the numbers are an order of magnitude off. 6 maybe should be 600. I mean, I see these plates littered all over our neighborhood.
Correct, but I only have a limited number of NCO officers, and they also are tasked with other aspects of community policing, and that's just one small unit in the one-way precinct.
I would just hope that you could increase the priority on that.
I'll do the best I can. It is a known problem, and the one-way precinct is doing a fantastic job of addressing that concern.
Sheila. Thanks, Ross. Sheila?
Yes, thank you, Lisa. Hi, Lieutenant. How are you?
Well, good.
Good. Just quick question. Can we get the contact information for the integrity control officer so that myself, I'm like co-chair of the transportation committee, and we certainly have Sergeant Pack who comes, but it would be great to get the email address so we can write directly to the integrity control officer.
Sure, I don't have it offhand, but I can.
If you could share it with the CB2 office, that would be great.
No problem.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sheila. I think that's it. John, I don't, these questions are for board members. Laura, did you have another question?
Yeah, quick question. Looking at CompStat, see there have been 11 hate crimes in the district so far this year. None in the last month, thankfully. Can you give us an update on this?
I don't have that information. Those investigations are conducted by the Hate Crimes Task Force. That's a broad command that works out of Manhattan. So I do not, those investigations are not conducted by the 108 precinct personnel.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, great. Any other questions from board members? Oh, John Vicuñas, I'm sorry. I just saw John's iPad. John.
Yeah, sorry about
please.
that.
No.
Well, I would like to say I'm hearing a lot of negative feedback to the 108. I'd like to say I've actually had a very positive experience with everything I've done with the 108. I've called them numerous times about the music that's been going on in Maspeth and Middle Village and Woodside and things like that. And, you know, we've had nothing but positive outcome. We've had vehicles get taken because of it and speakers get seized. I have to say, you guys are doing a great job from what I see. The paper plate stuff, yeah, I get that. It's a lot that's going on with them. But what can you do when you have a shortage of police officers now because everyone's against the officers? There's nothing you can do now. But yeah, I just like to say thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. And Tom Matusas, do you want to talk about your experience with the 108?
I'm sorry?
Tom. Oh, no,
Thank
Tom
you.
is a community board member.
Lisa, thank you so much. And Lieutenant Monahan, thank you for everything you do for the community, you and the 108. So Lisa, yes, of late, we have had the need to contact the 108 on numerous items. And equally, we had good response, be it noise, be it drug dealings going on the street. Thank you again, Lieutenant, for helping to protect the shelter population, because we had an incessant amount of drug dealing going on in front of the shelter. I would like to echo what I heard earlier about cars, specifically, and I know I repeat this over and over again, but vehicles that choose to ignore the directional on 37th Street. I think we've proven time and time again that those people are apt to be doing other bad things, by evidence of some of the arrests that occurred when people were caught going down 37th Street in the wrong way. So I do think that there is a need to hold vehicles accountable for traffic safety and laws. But again, I want to thank you for your attention to our community, and each and every time we've called upon you, you've been responsive to us. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom. Appreciate that. And as we spoke about in the community council meeting, Sergeant Pocket is also working on that for 37th Street as well. So we'll have an update for you on soon.
Thank you. Maury.
Yeah, I just want to piggyback on that and thank you, Lieutenant Monahan and the 108 for recently, as of late, our Tenants Association has been having some trouble with a restaurant that has a live band on the sidewalk, and it gets quite noisy. They play till around 11 o'clock at night. In the past, we didn't have a lot of good luck when we would check 311 and those kind of things. They would say that they came out and there was nothing observed, but recently we've seen a lot of responses that they addressed the issue. So I want to thank you for that. I really appreciate that. And as a follow-up to that, for about 3 years now, the Tenants Association has been dealing with this issue with a street vendor, a food vendor that doesn't have a food grade, and it's gone back and forth between enforcement by the health department and the 108. Everybody keeps saying it's the other person's responsibility, so we just need help. It's at the corner of 46 and Greenpoint.
Yeah, no, I mean, we have brought this to the deputy inspector. We've talked to, Detective Torres about it. We've sent pictures to the 108th precinct. We have tried to advocate for someone to address this individual for a long time.
The NCOs actually conducted an operation yesterday morning in regards to that vendor with the Department of Consumer Affairs.
And what was the outcome?
We have the they took the license from the one of the food trucks in regards. So I'll follow up with that as far as the quality of it. Oh, perfect. Sorry.
Yeah, thank you, because this has been a problem for a very long time. There's an individual, she cooks, she has open charcoal. It's not even a food truck. It's just an individual with a cart.
Yeah, we're not looking to take anybody's, way of life or income away, but there's a business there, the Rite Aid. They've complained because the smoke comes into their store and their cashiers get sore throats and have problems. Our building, nobody can open their windows night or day because the smoke just pours in, and it's been a problem for over 3 years now.
All right, no
And
problem.
the Sunnyside bid has complained about it. The board has complained about it. The Tenants Association has complained about it. We've spoken to the deputy inspector. I mean, we kind of don't know what to do next.
Is this at all times? It's during the day or at night? Because there's different.
This particular street vendor that does the barbecue, it's a few people, and it usually starts around anywhere between 4 and 5 or 6 at night, and goes on till way late at night.
Okay, so yesterday they did one during the daytime. Next week they're scheduled to go at night. So I'm sure they'll be
definitely go at night. And mid to the end of the week, because sometimes they're not there on Mondays and Tuesdays, but sometimes they are. And it's better
I'll send community board to the results of this operation next week.
Thank you, Lieutenant.
No problem. Of course.
Okay, I think that's it. So thank you so much for coming.
Of course.
We appreciate your coming to the board meetings periodically and having this dialogue with us. So we'll let you get on to your other business tonight. But thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. Have a good night, guys.
Yeah, have a good night. Okay, moving right along. We're going to move on to public comment now, and we're going to start. I just want to remind folks about our rules for our community rules for board presentations. So and Zoom chat. So please be respectful. Everyone has a right to be here, even if you don't agree. Please don't engage in personal attacks. Warnings will be given. Keep sidebar conversations to a minimum. Assume best intentions. Assume good faith in each other. And consider if what you say has been said, or is it a topic, or if there's a better time or place to say something. And acknowledge, please, when your intention doesn't match the tone of your voice or the impact and hurt that it could cause someone else. So we appreciate your civility in civic engagement in community board public testimony and as a member. So thank you very much. The first person signed up to speak is Manny Gomez. Manny. Are you with us? Maybe not. Osman Last.
Yes. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Cheers. Thank you so much. Thank you, Liz. Hello, everyone. Hello, Community Board 2. My name is Usman Last. I am a resident here in Sunnyside. I'm new to Sunnyside, but I wanted to take a moment and share with you all particularly some legislation that's been introduced in the New York State Senate. It's Bill S4880. And this is particularly a bill that would help lower plastic container pollution. So it's a bill really focused on just an environmental justice. And this bill would specifically require restaurants to accept customers' food and beverage containers when they have leftovers from eating in at the restaurant. So I think it's a really important bill. It really would help cut down on single-use plastic waste and plastic waste generally. And this is a bill that, you know, I really care about. I think it would have a huge impact and really helps us as, you know, as Sunnysiders and Woodsiders and constituents and you know, individuals to really have a choice in being able to have restaurants clearly take our containers when we come in, because at the moment there's a lot of confusion. Some restaurants will take your containers and some won't. And this bill would help clarify that. I would say I reached out to and met with Senator Generis's office. I met with Sam and Jen, and they were fantastic and said they would bring this bill to the senator for consideration. And so I would encourage you all please to, I'll put a link to the bill in the chat. And if you'd like to support, I'd encourage you to, please look into the bill and reach out to Senator Generis's office to support as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you. There are two questions for you, Sheila and then Roz.
Yes, hi, Osman. It's thank you for bringing that up. I'm curious, what is do you know what the pushback is right now?
Frankly, I haven't, well, generally restaurants very broadly would say their concern is around sanitation and lack of sort of guidance around that, which is understandable. But the bill does allow for that provision in terms of the restaurant themselves being able to, you know, there's a requirement that the container that's brought in is a clean container. And it's at the discretion of the restaurant in terms of being able to accept or deny that.
A suggestion in your conversations would be to somehow link it to the restaurants or the food, drink establishments being released of any and all harm and responsibility. I mean, in the end, you know, everybody, you line everybody up and sue everybody if something happens, but like having something in there that, because I could see, I think back to the concern with stuff like that being that if it isn't totally clean and somebody gets sick, the food or drink establishment is sued.
Sure.
So it's, you know, but anyway, just, I was curious and I want to offer that. Thank you.
No, thank you. I appreciate it.
Roz.
Yeah, hi. I'm not quite clear what the advantage is over simply recycling your container, but I wondered also if this relates in some way. I know one is a city endeavor and one a state, but Councilmember Van Bramer's Stop the Stuff bill makes a lot of sense to me because that's to prevent us from getting a lot of the plastic in the first place. And that might be a good amendment to this state bill to make it so that you have to opt in for your plastic utensils rather than opting out.
Right. Thank you so much for that, Rosamond. I think I would say to generally in terms of this bill, my understanding is it would allow you, to your first point about reusing plastics, is being able to bring in your container allows for the individual to not, sure, you've recycled your plastic, but if you're able to bring in your own glass container, everything, or any other item, you're not consuming and taking in more plastics. So I think that was the the thought there is for you to just kind of stop the cycle at that point. And I really appreciate your second point and follow up in terms of a recommendation for amendment to the bill. So I think that would be great to be able to share with the senator to make the bill even stronger.
Oh, good.
Thank you. Stephen and then Crucia.
Hi, sorry, a quick question. I think I missed it. What is the bill number?
It is 4880. I'll put the a link in the chat right now.
Okay, and that's a Senate, right? So is it, do you have the, can you put the Assembly version too so I can check it out? But thanks a lot.
Absolutely, and they're both the same.
Caricia.
Hi, thank you for the news on this bill. I was just curious, sort of piggybacking off of Roz's suggestion in terms of coordinating this bill with city agencies. Is there anything in the bill that maybe incorporates some sort of like cost incentive to the restaurants to participate in this type of programming? And is there any thought to maybe coordinate with the Department of Health so that there's more education and regulation around it so that restaurants aren't afraid to, you know, be fined or, you know, be put at risk for being sued?
Yeah. Great points. Thank you so much. I would say to your, if my recollection is right, to your first point. So this is a state level bill. And so any, you know, if it goes into effect, this would have an impact, you know, broadly on the state level. And generally then my understanding with legislation, obviously more broadly, is if there's any city actions, they then would have to, you know, supersede. They could go further than the state bill, but not be any less restrictive than the state bill. And to your second point, and this was brought up as well, and I appreciate this, is in terms of language around education, that I haven't seen. So I think that would be in terms of educating the restaurants on their liabilities. I have not seen a lot of focus on that. So I think that, again, is another great point to share in terms of making this helping to educate restaurants on this.
Yeah, or
I
even
would
like a standardized way of processing the plastics that are coming back so that they feel secure that they've done the process properly.
No, so to clarify, in this particular bill would only would very specifically allow you, for instance, to be able to bring, let's say, a glass container or any container that you personally have, you bring that to the restaurant, and once you eat and you have leftovers, you then have the food put into your container. So this is not, yeah. So you're not. This is not sort of a single location where you're bringing your plastics back to the restaurant. So it's a little bit different.
And
Understood.
Usman,
Thank
do you
you.
have a professional connection with this bill, or are you doing this as an individual advocate? Talk about that.
Absolutely. Truly, as myself. So two pieces to be fair. I in my day job, I work for the health department, so that's sort of my connection there. I'm in policy and some advocacy work, and I'm also a graduate student at CUNY School of Public Health, and so that also helps spur our focus on you know, really digging into this and being engaged in the process. So
Fantastic. I think Frank Wu put in the chat that you should come to our Environment Committee meeting. That would be great. So it's on the calendar. I'm not sure what day it is, Frank, but did you put that in? But
yeah, I just sent you a private message, Osman. If you want to send me your contact information via email, I think would be great. We've been talking about kind of legislative impact within our district for certain things. This could certainly be one of them. So
cheers. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks for coming.
Absolutely.
Okay, moving right along. Maruna Rihi.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Marwa Rigi, and I'm an outreach coordinator with the Civilian Complaint Review Board. For those of you who may not know, we are a city government agency that investigates police misconduct. So if a person experiences force, abuse of authority, discourtesy, offensive language, they could file a complaint with our agency and we can investigate that. You can file a complaint on our website if should you ever need to file a complaint. But I just wanted to talk about how about a week ago, we had the anniversary of the Right to Know Act, which was a law that passed in 2018 that outlined like how the police should be interacting with the public, right? So that includes like police officers having to identify themselves to you, whether it's giving you their name and their badge number, their shield, their rank, just so you know who they were, who you had that interaction with. It also talks about, officers having to explain the purpose of the interaction. If they stop you, they want to search you, they want to ask you questions, they should explain why they've stopped you, what's the purpose of the interaction. If they want to search you, they should ask for your consent and remind you that you have the right to say no. That's for the situations where there's no sufficient cause, no warrant. They have to ask for your consent and you can say no. A person has the right to language access services. So if you're stopped by an officer and you don't speak English, or let's say you communicate through sign language, the officer should facilitate that for you. That's one of your rights. And then lastly, that they all carry business cards with them. So if you ever get stopped by an officer and you just want to have their contact information, they should offer you their business card. But if they don't, you have the right to request one. So what the CCRB did last week to celebrate that was just kind of like doing a bunch of pop-ups all across the 5 boroughs, where we partnered with other community organizations, where we just handed out information about the Right to Know Act, just to educate the public, on the anniversary. And I just want to wrap up with saying, if anyone is interested in any information or a workshop or tabling for an event about the CCRB, our workshops and presentations and literature always discuss what is our jurisdiction, what's our authority, what is police misconduct, what are your rights when you're stopped by the police, and just more info about how we conduct our investigation. So I'm going to share my information in the chat, and thank you. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Marvel? How do you spell it? How do you say your name? Please pronounce your name.
Marwa Rigi.
Marwa. Thank you. Camille, you have a question.
Thank you. As a follow-up to earlier, there were myriad complaints about police cars in crosswalks, on sidewalks, actually posing a safety issue. Is that something the CCRB could review in the event that, no action is taken?
So again, the CCRB only investigates misconduct. So let's say the officers are parked there illegally, but then when you ask, you approach them and they act, if they use force for some reason, if they abuse their authority, if they're discourteous with you, or they use of any kind of offensive language, that's more what we investigate. So a complaint about those kind of things, like officers like disturbing the community or quality of life or things like that, that would have to go to the NYPD. But yeah, that's a great question.
Thank you for clarifying.
Sheila.
Yes, thank you. Just following up on Camille's question. So can you define, like, I felt like I'd like a little more clarity on the misconduct that your office investigates. So an ethics violation. So to me, someone ethically, if they're using their placard and they're not working, but they're using it so they can go to see the Rockettes. I don't know why that came up. And I'm not saying that's happening, but like, would that be considered to be an ethical violation because they are using a placard outside of its purpose that they commit to in the way they're committed to, and I'm sure there's guidelines around how they can use it. So that doesn't follow. I'm not trying to drill down on you, but I'm trying to get clarity on what exactly is what is the boundary for what is considered to be something that your office would investigate.
Great question. So I'll just address the example that you gave. Again, that's something that NYPD would investigate. Specifically, it could be their chief of departments, or it could be their internal affairs, depending on what you know, how they're, if they committed, if like, so that's more like if an officer committed a crime on the job or outside of the job, but like off duty, or if they are, so that would be like more of internal affairs. And then chief of departments is more like if they are not doing their job correctly, right? They refuse to take a report, or they don't ask witnesses, they're not asking certain witnesses any questions or things like that. That's something that NYPD has different departments within their agency that investigates. So with the CCRB investigates, so I can really quickly explain the 4 categories. So force is if any kind of force that an officer uses, right? So the purpose of that is for us to see if that force they use was excessive or unnecessary. So of course that includes them physically striking a person, like punching, kicking, or using their one of their weapons, using their firearm, even just pointing their firearm at someone, taking it out and pointing it at someone. We would investigate if that was excessive or unnecessary. For abuse of authority, just some really quick example, it just means like if an officer is misrepresenting their power or influence to gain a person's compliance, that includes, you know, stop, question, and frisks, stops of vehicles without sufficient cause, without a warrant, searching a person again without sufficient cause or a warrant, refusing to identify themselves, threatening to call ICE on someone, forcibly removing them to a hospital, improperly entering their property. That's like examples of abuse of authority.
So it sounds to me like the boundary here is active versus passive abuse.
Could you explain, could you clarify that?
It is passive abuse still to use your placard basically illegally. That's passive abuse of power because they are given power and authority. Whereas what I'm hearing from you is active abuse of power, which is, so I just wanted clarity. So I appreciate, we don't need to keep going on it. You get me?
No problem.
The active versus passive is what came through.
Thank you for your question. Any other questions before I go?
No, I think that's it. Thank you very much for coming. Very interesting.
Thank you for having me. Have a good night.
Have a good night. Dietmar Detering?
Yeah, thank you. Good evening, Community Board 2. Yesterday morning, Shang Tu rode his bicycle on 47th Avenue. Sharrows on the roadway indicated to him that this is a road where motorists would pay particular attention to bicyclists. At 47th Street, he got hit and rolled over by a box truck making a right turn. He's now dead. The driver of the truck was driving with an expired driver's license. Anecdotal evidence points to a wild west of trucking in New York City. Many trucks on our roads are poorly marked. No or insufficient or confusing operator identification on the side of the truck. Sometimes there's not even a license plate, or it's hidden, obscured, folded over, etc., mostly perhaps to evade toll charges and red light tickets. Many trucks are being operated by corporations whose registration with the New York Department of State has expired or has never been made, or whose US DOT registration has been revoked or is not authorized for safety violations or other reasons. Vehicles over 55 feet in length are illegal in New York City, yet they are a regular sight. And now we're learning that this one truck has been operated by someone without a valid license to operate this vehicle. How many operators like this are out there? On September 10th, we had another fatality in Sunnyside on 33rd Street at Skillman Avenue, not directly but indirectly caused by a truck. As it often happens there, a giant illegal truck was blocking the traffic by double parking or backing into the loading docks. In frustration, one car driver made a U-turn and a scooter driver smashed into that car and died. Why are these trucks allowed to operate in our city when we have laws on the books that say they should not? We've lost 2 lives now, but the trucks are still there, and one here at the food harvest site. I want Community Board 2 to find out what is the NYPD doing to enforce truck safety and legal compliance. Thank you.
Thank you. That's, you make an extremely good point. We've been reporting illegal trucks on our streets for many, many years. And I think and to no avail. I mean, actually, we don't get really good response on that. I think in some ways, the 39th Avenue Bike Boulevard is designed in some way to cut down on truck traffic on 39th Avenue, right? But obviously then trucks go someplace else because those trucks are still there. And so it is, I completely agree with you. It's a huge problem in our community, illegal trucks. And, you know, they go to the Stop and Shop, they go to, you know, the Food Dynasty, they go to the shopping malls. And so, you know, that's part of it too, to do deliveries. So yeah, it's really a problem. Steve, I don't know, Steve Cooper has been complaining about truck traffic on 48th Street probably for 25 years and to no avail. So I don't have a good answer for you, except that we can continue to advocate around control of truck traffic in our neighborhood.
So one idea that might work is simply request a report from the NYPD. If I foil the numbers, like a statistics, probably won't get it because they can say they don't have it, but if CB2 requests from NYPD statistics on how many actions they do, how many trucks they stop and check on license plate, registration, all these things to make sure that they are properly identified, and how many in how many cases they actually fine or arrest somebody. Such a report, just shedding some light to this, would probably put some gears into action and put more activity on the street on this matter.
Yeah, Steve, and then Chris McGowan.
Yeah, just briefly, Dietmar, Lisa's right. It's been actually 35 years I've been complaining about it. The problem that we get, or the response that we get from the police department, is that we cannot put somebody out on the street to watch the situation 24 hours a day, or for that matter, 4 minutes a day. And they push it off to the Department of Traffic. Department of Traffic says they can't put anybody there either, and they push it off to Consumer Affairs or to Lisa. I mean, the fact is, it's just been shoved around from agency to agency. No one wants to take responsibility. I like your idea. We can ask the 108th precinct if they have a record of incidents involving trucks, and also as to the number of trucks that do get ticketed and checked for these things. That's fine, but unfortunately, until we get the right number of people, and I hate to say the word surveillance because I don't like surveillance personally, but until they start doing surveillance on the no truck streets, we're not going to get any response. So, but thanks for bringing it to our attention, Dietmar. You told us things we don't know. Thank you.
Yeah, it's very helpful, Dietmar. Chris McGowan, and then Tom.
I just wanted to give you some insight from the answers I received also from DOT, because I live right near the City Harbor site. And they all said the same thing. Oh, I know the trucks aren't allowed, but no one enforces it. So Steve is right. Everyone knows that they're not allowed, but no one's kind of doing anything. So, you know, I feel your frustration, and I do think that's a great idea, at least to start somewhere, but it's just hard to sort of get someone to get moving somewhere along the way. I don't know, but that's what they've told me. So if that's helpful at all.
Yeah, it's not for lack of trying. Tom.
No.
Thank you. And Dietmar, I just wanted to confirm, even just on 37th Street, my block, on a daily basis, we have trucks and vehicles ignoring the one-way directional. The 108th has told me, and they can't be there 24/7, but the behavior continues each and every day. I bring it up because we had a death on the corner of Review and 37th Street that was caused by vehicles colliding with each other. We've had accidents. We had cyclists injured on this corner. And I talked to DOT, they tell me it's an enforcement issue. And enforcement, it's they don't have the staffing levels to enforce it. So I don't know what the answer is, but I agree with you that this is a large problem, and it's going to take more than a few of us to solve it. And we need many people looking at this, because on one isolated block, I see it happening 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, violations of traffic rules and regulations. And we've seen a death on the corner, and we've seen injuries. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, to Steve's point, you know, surveillance, we don't always love a surveillance society, but if there were cameras that could give tickets to trucks in our neighborhood for going in certain places, that could be helpful. Laura, did you have a point?
Yeah, just, you know, to echo everybody, the lack of interagency coordination on this, I think really spoke to a lack of interest in this issue from the previous mayor. And we have mayor-elect coming in now, and it might be worth just the board or something sending a letter directly, because if the agencies are just going to point fingers at each other, and, you know, we have NYPD saying we can't do enough enforcement, DOT doesn't really do enforcement at all, this isn't going to go anywhere. And all these problems with trucks, you know, in some ways are related. They're the illegal 53s. I see them coming off the BQE on Queens Boulevard. They are not allowed off the BQE. And then there are issues where they're just double parking even. And in some cases, it's because they don't have loading zones. Really getting to the root of that would be smart.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dietmar, for bringing up this issue.
Thank you for listening, and it's great to hear that CB2 is on our side here. It's good. Thank you for the work.
No question about that. So no question. No, those are all good suggestions, which we can follow up with. So stay tuned. Riley Owens. Riley?
Hello, everybody. Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Yeah, so I wanted to talk about on 39th Drive, where 39th Drive becomes 54th Street at the entrance of Doughboy Park. There's a crosswalk there and a stop sign, and it's very ineffective for getting cars to stop and allow pedestrians to cross. They typically don't stop. They rip right through the corner, and then coming from the other direction, they don't even have a stop sign, and they just rip right through the crosswalk there. This is a very, very pedestrian heavy area, this street. It's an entrance to Doughboy Park, Windmuller Playground, Windmuller Park. There's a daycare there, Rainbow Land, and public school, PS 11, and Woodside Library. This is a heavy pedestrian area, and I think that crossing needs some better attention. My idea, or an idea I've spoken to friends about, is a raised crosswalk there for the whole area, from where the current crosswalk is to the entrance to Doughboy Park, which would allow drivers to know that they're entering a pedestrian area throughout that whole turn, and should have an effect to cause them to slow down. As it is now, it's a very, very dangerous place to cross. And on the other side of the crossing is the Berkeley Towers, and further on the Sunny Hill building where I live. This is it's a street that people typically don't like to cross because of the lack of crossings and the lack of safe crossings. I think it could be a very, very nice thing to do to make it a safer place with a raised crosswalk.
Thank you. Sheila, who chairs our Transportation Committee, had a comment. Sheila.
I do. Thank you for your ideas. If you would be so kind as to, I'm sure it sounds to me like you probably already have it documented a bit, to send your recommendations into the community board so that my co-chair Thomas and I can take this to the Transportation Committee and discuss it, and possibly ask DOT to do a study of that specific intersection. So would you share all that with us?
Sure. Yeah. I'd love to.
Okay. And so email it into the board office, and then we'll have it for our next meeting.
Okay.
Or the one after that. I don't know what how full the agenda is next time, but
sure.
Thank you very much for caring.
Thank you.
Alexander. Oh, thank you very much, Riley.
Thank you.
Great. Alexandria LaFleur.
She had to jump off. She posted something in the chat.
Oh, okay. How about Dana Ohlmeyer? Oh, hi, Dana.
Hi.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Good, thanks.
I've got a specific set of problems, just one I can sort of look at right now. It's this building here.
We can't, it's hard. Oh, yeah. I can't really see. Does it have an address?
It's 5-28 49th Avenue. And they're doing illegal demolition in preparation for having a bar restaurant in a space that's about 25 by 100 feet deep with no windows and no back entrance and no FAR, which is supposed to be the space behind a building that's built so that there's a rainwater runoff to soil. And when I approached to take pictures, I got a whole lot of, feedback of the negative sort. And this man put his hands in front of me, and then he put his body in front of me, and then he put his hands in front of me, and then he put his body ahead of, I wasn't supposed to see this. And they're using a demolition truck, a junk truck, you pick up junk. And this is the guy who's in charge of building this restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
The owner threatened me.
Oh, wow.
He said, "You don't want to get hurt," like an Italian, but he looks Chinese. So he's like an Italian Chinese criminal. So I should really make a note of that to the precinct of 108 around the corner, because the place that he wants to have a bar restaurant open till 1 a.m. is next to my cherished community garden and down the block from what I call Shady Park, which is just behind the precinct. Now we have a wonderful restaurant at the end of Vernon Boulevard that has a long line and lots of noise and is jolly as could be because it has a long stretch of outdoor sheds. So it's hugely popular, has a lot of people outside. And this guy with his 25-foot footage hopes to emulate the same thing.
Is that where there used to be the daycare?
Sorry, what?
Is that where there used to be a daycare?
It wasn't a daycare, it was a play center, not a daycare.
Right, right.
The play center,
yep. For 3-year-olds and babies. And it had lots of boils. It's actually quite dangerous in a pandemic to have that kind of play area. So these guys are pretty tough customers. I mean, I lived in the Village, and it's like the same kind of, if you want to get down. But also they're putting in for their liquor license. I don't know if you can see this now. You can.
Right. They did come to community board.
It looks very elegant on the outside. It's not good because they're going to try to put the stove in. That's the only thing they have, the liquor license and for the putting of the stove in the chute for the smoke.
Yeah.
And they're going to put the stove in the basement, which is going to be 25, this is a huge basement. So I don't know what they could have a gambling hall down there. They're going to put the stove for the cooking in the basement, no windows, no exit.
No, what they said, when they came to community board, what they told us was that it was going to be a very exclusive restaurant with 8 seats. 8.
Well, it's 25 by 100. And I think
they're going to have a small grocery in the front. Steve, do you want to comment on this?
Yeah.
Yeah. Before they came to the city service committee, we checked with the PD, we checked with other places. There had been no problem. There was one person from the community who testified at the hearing, and they did not express this kind of a problem. I'm not questioning Ms. Allmeyer's description. She saw with her own eyes, and I assume she's telling us the truth that she saw it. I don't know who the construction people were. The gentleman who's going to open the place is well known. He has a very fine reputation as a Michelin chef.
He's not the owner.
I'm sorry, Ms. Allmeyer. We will look into it further for you. We will check this out. We will have the precinct look into it for the condition on the
legality of it.
Legality of demolition. We'll find out what we can. We thank you for telling us, but we will look into it.
May I say one more thing?
Sure.
One more thing. The block is very quiet. Across the street, there are 2-story buildings. All through the whole block, it's quiet, very residential. Down the block from the waterfront, I live in City Lights. It is absolutely inappropriate. Absolutely as to placement. And
Ms. Allmeyer, we hear you, but understand that the zoning allows that kind of an establishment to be there. The question is how it gets run.
The zoning allows that?
Yes, the zoning would allow commercial businesses to open on that street. He's entirely within his right. We granted him the liquor license based on what he has told us. But even if he didn't have a liquor license, you mentioned gambling den in the basement. I don't know if there is any basis for that. I hate to think that there is, but the fact is that he could certainly put in, I don't know if pinball is allowed anymore, but he could put in a lot of different kind of things, all of which would be disturbing to the neighbors, just as it would be disturbing if someone did it next door to my home. But it's permissible for him to open a restaurant at that location. The rest of what you're talking about, we will look into and try to make sure that A, the demolition is being carried out legally, and B, when and if he ever does open, he operates in a manner that the community can live with. Okay?
Well,
That's all we can promise.
Once he's open, he's home free. That's it.
That's not true. If he's a nuisance and he opens and he becomes a nuisance, there are things that can be done, starting with the precinct and then to the SLA. Okay.
So this person, we appreciate your comments and we will look into it. But he came to the City Services Committee for a liquor license. And there were some neighbors that testified that were unhappy with it. But the zoning, as Steve said, does allow it. And he is a very well-known individual in the restaurant business. And so I don't know who's doing the construction there, and that could be a problem. So we'll look into it. Thank you. Christine, did you have something?
Right. Yes, I mean, I hear what the response of the community board with members regarding the long-term owner, but the contractor, you can get a very immediate response. A, he should have a demo permit posted. And if he doesn't, that's reportable. And you can report a violation or, what you feel is inappropriate by the contractor. You can report that to DOB and that will trigger an inspection. And so they will regulate. I mean, that's probably the fastest way to get a response.
So she can go to the DOB website and report it?
I believe so. Yeah, the DOB website has gotten a lot more user-friendly.
And I will go to the precinct with the threat that I got by the owner of the building, who's very deeply involved in having this restaurant be there. I call it a bar restaurant.
Okay, what I'm trying to say is if you want someone immediately to look into the behavior of the contractor, that would be the Department of Buildings, and that response should be fairly quick.
Okay, too late. Thank you.
Carissa.
Hi Dana. I just want to thank my fellow board members for sharing all the very effective resources to Dana's complaints. But I just wanted to say, I think we should be a little bit careful how we contextualize and identify. I don't think race has anything to do with this type of complaint.
I didn't say race.
I think we should be a little bit more sensitive to how we bring these issues to the table. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Christian. Okay, any other questions or comments for this person? Okay, we're gonna move on now. Thank you. Who is that? LaFleur, what was your name? Are you still here? You were here. Alexandria, is that you? Alexandria.
She left. She posted something in chat room.
Great. Okay. So I think unless there's anybody else here who signed up to public comment, we have nobody else on our list. So therefore, we're going to move right along into attendance. Debbie.
Okay, I'm Carol Appleby. Present. Serena Andrus? So Serena here? Serena, are you here? Yes. Thank you. Anatole Asheroff.
Here.
Carisha Baton.
Here.
Nick Berkowitz.
Here.
Sandra Begishka? Absent. Kat Bloomfield?
Here.
I saw you here. Okay, great. Thank you. Daniel Brecker?
Present.
Great. Joanna Carmona? Joanna Carmona, I did not see you here. Are you here? Okay, absent. Gianna Sabone? I did not see you here. Are you here? Gianna Sabone? Absent. Tanya
This is
Chavez?
Serena. Sorry, I'm here.
Who's here?
Serena.
Yeah, I know. You said, I thought I heard you before.
No.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Osman Chowdhury?
And I'm here too, Debbie.
Okay, gotcha. Osman Chowdhury.
Yes.
Great. Stephen Cooper.
Here.
Warren Davis.
Here.
Jake DeGroot.
Here.
Lisa Deller.
Here.
Sally Frank. Sally, I thought I saw you. Are you here?
Yep, I'm here. Hello.
Great, thank you. Maury Gallinoy.
Present.
Thank you. William Garrett.
I think he had to leave.
So is he here or
No,
not?
he's not here.
Okay, so he's absent. Okay. Somnath Gamir. Somnath, you put your name in the chat before. Are you here? You're only present if you're here when attendance is taken. Somnath? I guess he's absent. Dr. Rosamond Giannusis?
Here.
Thank you. Camille Gray?
Here.
Thank you. Kenny Greenberg?
Here.
Ben Gutman?
Here.
Christine Hunter?
Present.
Mohammed Chowdhury Jewel?
I know. Oh, I'm sorry.
Mohammed Jewel, are you here? No, absent. Badrun Khan, I know she had a family emergency. Did she come on? No, okay. Sheila Lewandowski.
Excited to be here.
Thank you. Dominic Lapolis. Okay, you're absent. Kristen McGowan.
I'm here.
Ty McShane.
Here.
Thank you. Tom Matussis.
I'm present. Thank you.
Thank you. Clara Osa.
I'm here.
Great. Elliot Park. I saw you here before.
Here.
Great. Hi, Elliot. How are you? Welcome.
Hi, guys.
Carla Perez. Carla, are you here? I did not see you. Okay, you are absent. Stephen Raga.
Here.
Thank you, Stephen. Selena Romero.
Hi, I'm here.
Hi, how are you? Catherine Sabal. Catherine, are you here?
Oh,
Okay, thank you. She's not here. Roberto Sedana. That's your
Yeah.
voice. Hi, how are you?
good.
Regina Shanley. I know Regina was calling in on the phone. She got all the information. Regina Shanley, are you here? Okay, I did not hear you, so you are absent. Laura Shepherd.
Present.
Thank you, Laura. Lauren Springer.
Here.
Thank you. Mary Torres.
Yippers, I'm here.
Okay, so you, thank you.
Yes,
Anthony
Regina,
Sedella.
I'm here.
Oh, is that Regina Shanley that just said that?
I'm here. Yeah, I'm here.
Great. Thank you, Regina. I appreciate that.
Thank
Welcome.
you.
Glad you got on. Anthony Tudela.
Here.
Thank you. John Vacunas, I saw you.
Here.
Great, thank you. Adrian Vanelli.
Here.
Terrific, thank you. Julie Wan. We know she's busy. Frank Wu.
Present. Present.
Thank you. We have a quorum.
Great, fantastic. The next item is the approval of minutes. Did everybody get the October minutes?
Yes.
Does anybody have any comments or corrections, or does somebody want to make a motion to approve the October minutes?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the October minutes.
Thank you,
Laura
Amparo. Does somebody want a second?
Second,
Who was that?
Laura.
Thank you, Laura.
Fantastic. Is anybody opposed to approving the minutes?
No, but I'm abstaining.
Okay, thank you,
Okay.
Mary.
Anyone else? Okay. Can we go back for a second? It's not in the agenda, but can we go back to June 23rd? Has everybody actually gotten the June 23rd minutes now?
Yes.
Does anybody have anything to say about not receiving the June 23rd minutes? Okay, does somebody make a motion to approve the June 23rd minutes, even though it's not on our agenda?
I make a motion to approve the June minutes, 23rd minutes.
Thank you. Does somebody want to second that?
All right, who made the motion, please?
Danielle.
Thank you, Danielle. And who seconded it?
I can second that. It's Amparo.
Thank you.
Amparo. Is anybody opposed? to
I'm
approving the
abstaining
June
because
20 Huh?
Sheila, I'm abstaining because I was not there for the. they
Okay,
told me-
Sheila, you are abstaining, okay?
I don't feel
Great.
it's right to say yes when I
Okay.
wasn't there.
Anybody else is abstaining? Anybody against the motion?
No.
Thank you, Lisa. You know what we
Okay.
get with these requests, they have to be perfect.
Okay, so
Thank you, everybody.
we're taking that everybody who's been marked present is in favor, except for the people who have abstained. Great.
And on
Okay,
this, it's just Sheila.
that's right.
It's 3700.
So you're just
01.
cleaning up old business. I don't want to leave anybody else with old minutes to approve. Okay, so moving right along, a couple things I just want to say. I would like to congratulate Julie Wan for becoming our new council person. Very exciting to have a community board member as our new council person. So congratulations, Julie. I want to wish everybody happy Diwali, and for those of you who are veterans, happy Veterans Day. And that's that. And thank you again, Frank Wu, for finalizing the budget, and Debbie and the office team for uploading all our budget requests into the city system. I have to say, moments after the budget was finalized and they uploaded our requests, I had a conversation with people in the borough president's office about Hurricane Ida and the need for sewers in Woodside. And the request came to me was that, well, what did you have in your budget and in your budget request? Because they use that budget request to advocate for things like fixing sewers in a particular area. So fortunately that was there, and I sent it along to the BP's office. So that's how the budget requests get used. So people need to just, pay attention to that. Tonight, before we get into elections, I want to thank, we have, is Jason with us, Debbie?
Lisa, he just logged off.
Oh, too bad.
He just sent me that he had to go. He's 18 years old, but
So,
I will say he's a delight.
So we have an intern from LaGuardia College in their internship program, and he was on our meeting tonight. So I look forward to hearing what he thought about an 18-year-old listening to us talk about all the issues of the day. And I think that's pretty much it for now. We're going to move into election of officers, and that every year in November, we have our election of officers. There were nominations from the floor in October, and the nominees were for Maury Gallinoy for chair, Frank Wu for first vice chair, myself for second vice chair, Roz Giannousis for secretary, and Kat Bloomfield for treasurer. I'd like to ask if there are any additional nominations from the floor tonight. I'm opening the floor to nominations. Okay, seeing no, oops, there is a hand up here.
I was going to say, I think you were starting to say it, Lisa, but just to make it easy for you, being that there are no other nominees and there is a slate of unopposed
Steve,
candidates, I would ask
go
that-
ahead, go ahead. I'm
I
sorry.
would
Go
ask
for it.
that we allow the secretary to cast one vote to reflect the unanimity of the election, rather than polling each of us and having us each raise our hand or say something.
Steve, we're not allowed. We have to do it by a vote, roll call,
Yeah,
especially we're
so-
on Zoom.
So we're gonna do a roll call vote, and we're just gonna go through one by one. I appreciate the intent on that, Steve. So Debbie, why don't you start with treasurer?
Okay, just give me a moment. I gotta pull the sheets. We have to have them all official and. One second.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Yes, ma'am.
Do candidates abstain when it's their turn?
I'm sorry, say that again, please.
Do candidates abstain when it's their like when it's their turn? Like since you're doing.
No,
No, they're
you
allowed to
can-
vote for
you can
themselves if
vote
they
for
want to.
yourself.
Oh.
I want to ask the nominees if you want to make any statements, because the way we announced it in the agenda was that we would accept nominations and each individual would have 2 minutes to present their personal statement. So does anyone who's a candidate want to make a personal statement?
I can do that.
Sure.
Okay. I joined Community Board 2 this April and have lived in Woodside for 2 years. Before Woodside, I lived in Elmhurst in the same apartment for 8 years. Personally, I was the first in my family to earn a bachelor's, to move out of the South or to the Midwest, or out of the South or the Midwest, and the first to start a business. I'm a huge supporter and member of the LGBTQ+ community, as well as an advocate for minority-owned businesses. I love the arts and I am an artist myself, printmaking and digital media. In my spare time, believe it or not, I listen to economics podcasts and read books on entrepreneurship, history, Black identity, and economics. Professionally, I'm a nonprofit fundraiser and the founder and CEO of Arts Business Collaborative, a technical assistance and research organization committed to improving the quality of life for people of color through the arts and sciences, and especially for Black, Indigenous, and Latinx communities. We address the barriers to success for BIPOC-led creative and professional endeavors by facilitating access to capital, networks, and training. What all of this translates into is an interest in and deep knowledge of numbers and data as it pertains to community endeavors and small business. I am honored and excited to be a member of the community board. I have attended all of the community board meetings except in April when I got news of my appointment after the meeting. And I've been an active member of the bylaws committee and the arts and culture committee. As treasurer, I would be absolutely delighted to lead the budget committee, and I would be able to bring to CB2 all of my 10 years of experience working with community organizations and small businesses. I hope to connect with the nonprofits in our community to learn about their budget priorities throughout the year and facilitate more budget priority letters from organizations of all sizes and interests. I would like to make our budgeting process as participatory and open as possible. I'm aware that our small businesses are not permitted to submit budget priority letters, but I think it's still important that we learn where their needs and interests lie. I'm committed to understanding and communicating how money moves in our community. As a member of the executive committee, I would be an enthusiastic partner to our chair and fellow committee members. I literally started an organization with collaborative in the title. Thank you for your time and consideration, and I hope I can count on your vote.
Thank you, Kat. Anyone who volunteers to chair the budget committee deserves our votes. Anyone else have a statement to make?
Yeah, I would like to do so. I'm trying to get my, I have a longer statement that I'll just put into the chat for anybody that cares to read it. I
And
hope
if
I'm
I could
getting
just
the right.
ask if each candidate just send in their statements to the board office, that would be perfect.
Okay, wait a minute. I think that's done. All right, so yeah, my name is Roz, and I'm old and new. I'm old to the neighborhood. Been here for over half a century, which just blows my mind. I'm relatively new to the community board, but not that new. I'm starting halfway or partway through my second term. And I think the most important thing that perhaps you could know about me, aside from my roots in the community, has to do with my work, which I do. I'm a psychologist that works in brain injury rehabilitation. Many of the people I work with became brain injured because of traffic violence, and some of them, their lives and their families' lives have been transformed forever. So I can't ignore the importance of street safety and so on. But that's not the only thing I'm interested in, of course. This last term, last year, I was second vice chair, and I participate actively. I show up all the time. I actually really enjoy the Zoom format because I've gone to many of the committee meetings. The only one I think I haven't gone to is Kenny and Carisha's committee. So in the capacity of being second vice secretary, I think particularly I would like to make some moves on regarding the minutes. Our recent minutes, I think I just looked and the pages were like 18 pages or something. In Robert's Rules of Order, which I obtained, it says very explicitly, as it did in our training, that the minutes should reflect what was done, not what was said. And I think I feel badly for the people in the office because you work valiantly, and the number of hours you must spend on putting together the minutes is incredible. But on the other hand, it's perhaps not necessary. And I would like to see us rely on uploading the transcript with the tech committee's help to YouTube, so people who really want to see what was said can see it. So I think that's important. I would like also to broaden the participation in leadership. I think the executive committee should be particularly active, and I gather from what Maury has to say, he's willing to do that. So that will be a good thing, but we need to incorporate that perhaps into the future bylaws as well. I think I've said enough. You all kind of know me anyway, so I really
Thank you,
appreciate your
Roz.
support.
Thank you very much. Does anybody else have a statement to make?
I had just a brief statement, Lisa. Thanks
So
everybody
I would
for
say,
your
the
forbearance.
statement would be 2 minutes.
Yep. So everybody, thanks
less.
so
Thank
so
you.
much. I'm running for executive vice chair because I think whatever our personal views are on land use, street safety, or more, we're all neighbors and we can kind of agree to disagree in a civil manner. I believe the role of an executive officer isn't to inflate one's personal views, but kind of articulate the broader board's perspective. And I've tried my best to contribute by chairing environmental and budget committee. My favorite part about being on community board too is connecting with others that I really wouldn't normally connect with in different neighborhoods. And I think it's important as board members that we role model for our local community about how to engage in civil dialogue, civic participation, and ultimately just unite around common connections and causes that we all want. Clearly, clean air, water, pedestrian street safety against illegal truck activities. That's really big. More schools, healthcare facilities. So we want the community board too to feel inclusive and accessible for longtime residents, but for a lot of new residents too in our district, because our district is rapidly changing. So we just really appreciate being a part of this. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Frank. Anyone else?
Did you want to say anything, Lisa?
Yeah, I
No.
guess, the reason, the reason I would the reason I am running for second vice chair is that is to preserve institutional knowledge, to help the board to have continuity, and to help to transition a new generation of executive committee and chair people. There are projects that we started that we haven't finished, and that we want to continue to work on, and I want to be a part of that, including especially the amendment of the bylaws. And I hope that Sheila Lewandowski, who's been the first vice chair, will continue to work on that with us. And there are a number of other things that we have in process that I feel like it would be helpful to our new leadership to have my presence and my participation in that process. That's my speech. Maury, do you want to say anything?
Yeah, I'll say something. Thank you. So I'll just start off telling you a little bit about myself, because not everybody knows me. I haven't been on the board as long as some of our esteemed veterans here. So just a little bit about me. My husband and I have made this neighborhood our home for almost 15 years now. We live on the border of Woodside and Sunnyside on the south side. I have served actively on the Environment, Land Use, and Tech Committee. And I've also was on the Budget Committee. And outside of CB2, I've served as a board member of the Multimedia Department at Borough of Manhattan Community College, and I've been a member of the Queensborough President's Tech 2025 Committee, among other activities. Professionally, I'm a small business owner, and I work in the field of digital media and branding, and I'm also a teacher. This year marks my 20th year as an adjunct assistant professor at Parsons School of Design in their Design and Technology Department. As we all know, we live in one of the most diverse communities in the country. We often hear that there are more languages spoken in Queens than anywhere else in the world. I think our diversity is our strength, and it makes Queens and our district an incredible place to live and to work. If I'm elected chair, which seems like it might happen, I will prioritize increasing engagement and access between the board and our broad and diverse community. I believe we can do that through active outreach and by encouraging productive debate. CB2 has to be a safe space for all voices to be heard, even the ones we disagree with. I know there are many people here on the board that I've agreed with many times, and also those same people I've disagreed in my short tenure. I want to ensure that we encourage meaningful dialogue within the board and with the community. It's important that we continue our digital transformation also to increase communication engagement and continue to use traditional media also when necessary to be sure we have inclusive ways for people to participate. And finally, I just want to take a moment to thank Kenny for nominating me and Lisa for seconding my nomination. I am humbled by the confidence and support people have expressed in me, and I promise I will do my utmost to live up to your expectations, to serve our community and to serve this board. Thank you.
Thank you, Maury.
Thank
Fantastic.
you.
So with that, unless there are any other nominations from the floor, what we're going to do now is we're gonna do a roll call vote for the slate. So now we have no other nominations. We have a slate of prospective officers, and we're gonna do a roll call vote for everybody who's on the slate. So Debbie, I'm going to turn that over, and that is Maury Gallinoy for chair, Frank Wu for first vice chair, Lisa Deller for second vice chair, Roz Giannousis for secretary, and Kat Bloomfield for treasurer. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Debbie to do a roll call vote to elect that slate.
Okay, roll call vote to elect the new slate of officers for executive board. To accept the nominees, the motion is closed, no other votes. And we will start that now. Amparo Applebay.
Yes.
Zarina Andres.
Yes.
Anatol Asheroff.
Yes.
Carisha Batan.
Yes.
Nick Berkowitz. Can you hear me? He did put it in the chat and let us know that he's
Yes.
voting for the slate. Thank you, Nick.
Yes. Yes.
Sandra Begishker is absent. Kat Bloomfield.
Yes, although it feels weird to vote for myself.
Daniel Brecker.
Yes.
Joanna Carmona is absent. Giovanna Sabone, absent. Tanya Chavez.
Yes.
Osmond Chowdhury.
Yes.
Stephen Cooper.
Yes.
Warren Davis.
Yes.
Jake DeGroot.
Yes.
Lisa Della.
Yes.
Sally Frank.
Yes.
Maury Gallinoy.
Yes.
William Garrett. Absent. Somnath Gamir. Absent. Raj Giannousis.
Yes, and I always vote for myself.
Camille Gray.
Yes.
Kenny Greenberg.
Yes.
Benjamin Gutman.
Very enthusiastic, yes.
Dean Hunter.
Yes.
Mohammed Jewel. Mohammed Jewel. Absent. Badrun Khan. Absent. Sheila Lewandowski.
Grateful and yes.
Dominic Lapolis. Absent. Kristen McGowan.
Yes.
Ty McShane.
Yes.
Tom Matussis.
Yes, and thank you to each of you.
Clara Oza. Clara, are you here? Clara
Yes.
has.
Yes,
Clara,
I'm
is
here.
that a yes for the slate?
Yep.
Okay, thank you very much. Elliot Park.
Yes.
Carla Perez. Carla. Carla Perez. Okay, absent. Stephen Raga.
Yes.
Selena Romero.
Yes.
Catherine Sabal. Catherine Sabal, absent. Roberto Saldana.
Yes.
Regina Shanley.
Yes.
Laura Shepherd.
Yes.
Lauren Springer,
Yes.
Mary Torres,
Yes.
Anthony Tadella,
Yes.
John Viacunis,
Yes.
Adrian Vernelli,
Yes.
and Frank Wu.
Yes.
Congratulations. It's unanimous. I want to thank the executive board. You guys have been terrific and wonderful to work with, and I look forward to working closely with each and every one of you on the executive board, and congratulations.
It's so exciting. I am really happy that we're able to make this transition. You know, I just have to say, there are a lot of boards where the chairs hang on to their position for a very long time. And there was a moment where chairs of this board hung on to their position for a very long time. And I think it's an awesome responsibility to be chair of this board. And I hope we can have a practice of having people continuing to cycle through being chair, because it's fantastic, and it's, you know, it takes time and effort, but you get so much back and so much trust, and thank you all for your trust in me, and for the time that I've been chair. I'm really grateful for having had that experience. So thank you, and congratulations to everyone.
Thank you, Lisa.
Yeah. Okay, moving right along. District managers report.
That's a hard act to follow, huh? I just get a few notes, nothing extraordinary, but I just want to add to Jason, our intern. This was his second week. He only comes once a week. And he's been excited, and he's learning, and he's been terrific, and he'll get more into tech stuff, but he has to learn about 311 and complaints, and he's helpful, and he seems to be enthusiastic and exciting. And he was excited to be on tonight, but I guess he had to get off by a certain time. So he earned his hours, and it is a paid intern. LaGuardia College pays them, and he only has to do 10 hours. So for him, but this is something new for him, and so far, and he's looking forward to meeting you guys. So we'll try to get him on for the next board meeting. So I wanted to just mention that. Remember to fall back this weekend. The clocks have to be pushed back, and check your smoke alarms and carbon monoxide and all that stuff. Please remember to anybody to view our, as Dr. Roz said, to view our YouTube channel. We spoke to the organization, and they will help us with the transcript. And I believe we're going to have one for this meeting. So that'll be the first time, which will help with the minutes. And we'll talk about how to include them or attach them, however you would like them. Composting in this board, there is a compost by the Department of Sanitation. Put them out after 4 o'clock on November 27th and December 11th. If you want to compost your leaves, your fall leaves, put them out for pick up on the 27th and December 11th, anytime after 4. And I would like to, we're going to continue to post on Facebook. We are working, unfortunately, our official email was hijacked somewhere in Twitter, and our DOITT is helping me try to retrieve it back so we can have an official Twitter account. And that's in the process. So let me just give you an update on that. And one more thing I'd like to mention is Joan from our office has officially retired. She's worked for us for 13 years. I want to thank Councilman Van Brema. They provided a citation for her, at the cabinet meeting because she calls in all of your complaints. She tracked your 311 numbers. She's worked on constituent services, and she's been a terrific asset to our office and the CB2 staff. We thank her for her years of service, and we have put out a job posting. So feel free to take a look or pass it along. And that is my official report for tonight. I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving and safe. Remember, be safe. COVID is still out there.
Thank you, Debbie. There are
Deb,
two
Lisa,
hands up.
I
There
have
are
a-
two. I'm
Lisa,
sorry, there are
I
two
have a
questions.
follow-up.
Wait, hold on. What are you following up on?
I have, never mind, forget it.
Where are you following up on?
No, no, regarding the composting, there's another food scrap pickup point on Sundays and Mondays in Long Island City. I'll send an email to Debbie so she can share it with the community.
Perfect. And we'll post it to our website as well. Compost is out there as well.
Thank you. And Roz?
Yeah, I think you actually clarified because I noticed the posting for the position, and that's to replace Joan. So
Yes.
it's not it. So we'll have that person plus the intern.
Correct.
Excellent.
Correct.
Thank you.
Great. So that's the district manager's report. Teal.
Wait, I just want to add one thing. I
Oh.
want to thank Mary Ann, who's our assistant. She works on the minutes. She works very, very hard. And I want everybody to understand how important the office staff is, really appreciates working with each and every one of you. But try to get our approvals of our minutes before board day. That would be helpful to all of us because it really is stressful on a day like today to make sure that everything runs smoothly and softly.
Okay.
Thank you.
Truth and fact. City planning, Teal.
Hi, everyone. So I'm going to start off with sharing our new website specifically for urban design at DCP. The website is goodurbandesign.nyc, and I'll put that in the chat after my update. So what this website was set up to do is that it is in its very early form and it won't be open forever. It'll be open until the end of the year. And on the website, there's 3 different activities that are meant to gather feedback to help inform our next update of the principles of good urban design. And these are posted on like our main DCP website.
So Teal, how do we interact with that?
So you would go to the goodurbandesign.nyc website, and then on the website there's 3 different activities. So you just have to scroll down, and there's like 3 boxes, and each box will take you to a different activity. And each activity takes between 5 or 10 minutes to complete. It just depends on how in-depth that you all would want to get. The first activity is a survey to help understand people's priorities in their experience of the built environment. The second is a virtual board to help you share how it feels to live in your neighborhood. And then the third is a discussion forum that helps deep dive into the principles and for you to share direct feedback. And as I mentioned, this is all open until the end of the year. And then after that, our urban design team will take in that feedback, and that will help inform the principles of good urban design overall.
Can we have someone come to land use to kind of talk about that further?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that would be great. Okay.
So my next update is just to let you know what's going on with the citywide text amendments. Open restaurants is scheduled to be voted on the 17th of November. The hotels and the health and fitness text amendments were approved by the CPC in October, and they're going on to their city council votes later this month. And then, or this year, I'm not exactly sure when yet. And then zoning for accessibility was adopted by the city council in October. And so now I'm just going to provide city council updates on some of the ULURP projects that we've seen this year. So 6204 Roosevelt Avenue rezoning. This was the mixed use development with the residential. This was adopted by the city council last month in October. The Teamsters rezoning on Van Dam which was the union offices and training center and storage facility. That was adopted by the city council in October. And then just jumping back in time a little bit, the RXR IBIA special permit at 4211 9th Street was adopted by the city council in March of 2021. And the FIPS rezoning, the 100% affordable housing proposal, was also adopted by the city council in March. And we don't have any other new ULERT projects that are close enough to certification to share at this time. There has been a bit of a slowdown in our processing of applications at this time, so we're just kind of tentative to share too far in advance because it might be a long time before we see those certified. So then I did want to share a non-ULERT project. So this is a chair certification, which just means the chair of the City Planning Commission will sign off on the project. But the reason they sign off is because there's really specific like design guidelines that have to go into the project. So this is a waterfront certification. It's on block 11. The address is 5419 2nd Street, but it's kind of like a weird location to describe just by the address. But if you're all familiar with Hunters Point, it's a parcel in Hunters Point South that's on Newtown Creek where the East River and Newtown Creek meet each other. So this project will include 2 residential towers with approximately 1,000 residential dwelling units and approximately 100,000 square feet of publicly accessible waterfront open space. This is a part of the special Southern Hunters Point district. And so this chair certification is to make sure they're following all the waterfront design guidelines. But I'm sure you're all—
That's as of right?
It's essentially as of right. They're also building a private street with an open space associated with that private street. And if you want to look at any of these plans, you can find them either on ZAP, if you want to look at their filed land use application. But it's mostly as of right. We're just approving the site plan.
That's the TF Cornerstone?
It is.
Yeah.
And that's all my updates for tonight, but I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you,
Tom,
Lisa.
did
I
you
had
have
a question. Yes, thank you. Hi, Teal. How you doing tonight?
I'm good. How are you, Tom?
I'm good, thank you. So, just a clarification: the City Council has not voted yet on the hotel citywide text amendment.
No.
Thank you. And my second question is, and I'm just trying again to gain clarification. The citywide hotel text amendment, do we have a final written document?
I might be able to email that to you. I would need to go, like, the document, it will include the zoning text and how that is changed. And so,
Yeah, because my specific concern remains, if the M1 zoning text amendment for hotels that dates from 2018 gets to continue, inclusive of the exemptions in the 2018 text amendment, then hotels will continue to be built as of right in M1 zones, mixed use zones, and other areas. So I really need to see the text of the amendment that City Council will be voting on.
yeah, so I believe it'll be available on the zoning application portal, which is a website that I can just throw that in the chat so that you can access it. But I'm not 100% sure if the zoning text will be published there. But also, just to answer your question, with the hotel text amendment, all hotels will have to apply for this special permit. So I know we've
All
like
hotels, regardless of anywhere they are.
Yes,
Thank you. That wasn't clear before. Thank you.
but I'll make sure we can get you that text. so
Yeah,
that
and
you
I
can
just,
look at it.
I believe it. Maybe my mother named me Thomas for a reason, Doubting Thomas. So I just would love to see it in writing.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem.
And you know, for 6204, for those folks who didn't see it in the newspaper, there was an increase in the number of affordable units from 25% to 30%. Were there any other changes, Teal, that in the final vote that you want to talk about?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Okay, and it did, it will include car chargers, electric chargers, and a promise for internet access. So those were a few things that I understand were negotiated. So anyway, any other questions for Teal? Oh, thank you, Jack. Any other questions for Teal? Teal, just because we're going to do land use reporting next, so thank you for your presentation. At November 17th land use meeting, we're going to have what's his name? From HPD, Kevin Paris.
Yeah.
Come and talk about Hunters Point South sites E and F.
Oh, great. Yeah, I'm excited to hear about that as well.
Yeah, so that'll be really exciting. Yeah, I'm excited to hear about that too. And anybody who's interested in development of the Hunters Point South waterfront parcels E and F are still expected to be RFP'd by HPD. And this is the time that we could potentially have some input into how the RFP is going to look. So what they do is they put out an RFP for developers who will develop those sites. And this is going to be an initial opportunity to have some input into development of that RFP. I'm excited about that. Sheila, did you have a question for Teal?
I did, and I'm sorry, I'm in a car and traveling, so I'm coming in and out, but I did have a question and then something to say about that RFP that you just mentioned. I don't know if folks can hear me. But the question I have is, when we talk about not just the number of affordable units, but is there any better consideration about the affordability calculators? Because right now the affordability calculators do not really translate into affordability for people based on income bands today, and the real cost of living, which includes things like utilities, which are now shifted completely to the tenants and things like that. And then on the RFP, just to throw it in, just in case I get disconnected. I mean, you're saying the RFP is for them to be developed. Are there any other possibilities, since this is?
You should come to land use, Sheila.
Kind of some of the last parcels of public land, except, did I get lost?
This is the question of the moment. You should come to land use and talk about it.
Yeah, those are all great questions for HPD.
I would love to. I'll be there.
Okay.
November 17th.
And just
Awesome.
a
I'll
quick
be
point
there.
of clarification, it's parcels D and E.
Oh, I'm sorry, C and E. Did I say E and F? So confused. Thank you. D and E. Yes. Christine.
Yeah, thank you. Teal, I just wondered on the Teamsters the approval for that enlargement of the Teamsters building. Did our recommendations for the, agreement with the arts community and the display of public art, did those make it into the approval?
I don't think I didn't catch the CPC hearing on that one. I mean, we always present the community board's recommendations to the CPC, but I'd have to just go back, and all of the recordings at the CPC too, they're on the DCP YouTube. And I can just ask the planner too whether the CPC made any comments on your recommendations.
Great,
or Jack might know. Jack, do you recall if the recommendations of the community board were included in the final agreement with the Teamsters?
Hey, Jack here, not on video. Everything that was agreed upon through the community board and the borough president's office went over to our office with the council member. And like I said in the chat, the only change was the increase in affordability. So all other conditions that they agreed to through the ULERP process are part of the final agreement.
No, I'm sorry. We were talking about Teamsters.
Oh, sorry, I misheard. That one's the same, just minus the affordability increase. All the agreements that were made continued onto the council and part of the final agreement.
Except for the car chargers, right? The electric chargers, never agreed to that. Or I don't know.
I'll have to double check on that, but I'll follow up offline.
All right, thank you.
That'd be great. Okay, so thank you, Teal. That was Teal's report and a segue into land use. At the land use committee, we had a pre-ULURP presentation by the developer of a site on Northern Boulevard, which is now a closed restaurant, which was called Il Felice, that they're proposing to tear down and build a car dealership, a Lincoln, supposedly electric car dealership on that site. And so, you know, it was an interesting presentation. Christine, did you have a comment about that?
Yeah, I think, I mean, just for it's early in this stage of this process of this project. It's pre-ULURP, so it's going to come back. We don't have to go over every detail, but I guess I think it's important for the board to understand that the land use committee really did push them on sort of the community and green benefits aspect of the project. Both that they were proposing to make one charging station accessible to the public, except that they kind of admitted that they really hadn't thought through how the public would actually access that station. We asked them to make all 3 charging stations truly accessible for public use, and also to consider the more green features in the building, like it would actually be a very good location for solar, to sort of, in their interest, advertise the green aspects of their dealership, which may sound like a contradiction. So, so it will be interesting to see how much effect, you know, their coming early to the committee really has on their proposal. And just for everybody to understand, that site, which is a kind of small irregular site, has a catch-22, which is that it's had an non-conforming occupancy. The restaurant, it's had only a residential zoning. So the restaurant was non-conforming and would have been grandfathered if they'd stayed open. But because they're closed for 2 years, now they can't even reopen. So essentially, the site is very hard to use under the current zoning.
Yeah, we also talked about bike parking.
Yes.
We talked about landscaping. We talked about planting trees on the site.
Right.
And it's a 2-story building. So it's not, and it, you know, it was an interesting conversation about the Northern Boulevard zoning in general, because a lot of Northern Boulevard is currently zoned for car uses. So it's not zoned for residential. So you couldn't build a high-rise apartment building in that corridor of Northern Boulevard. So this is really early in the process. They came to get feedback and input from the community board. So Laura, did you have a question?
Yeah, I just wanted some clarity on that. So they want to put another car dealership on Northern Boulevard, and they can't do that without a waiver from, or something from us, right?
It's you
on that site. It's not.
Yeah, it's a positive ULURP declaration. Got it. Thank you. So
okay. So I mean, they came. They talked about what they intend to build there. The zoning, what they can do there is very limited, and they wanted to get some feedback from the land use committee. Roz, genius.
I just unmuted myself. Yeah, I mean, I have to say, I did go to that meeting, and I felt very conflicted because we were trying to get them to do something positive. But, you know, in my heart of hearts, there is nothing green about putting another car dealership on Northern Boulevard. I don't get it, but that's all. I just want to say that.
You know, it's their dime that they go through ULURP, and, you know, they, you know, at this point in time, you know, they go through that process and you know, seek to get it approved by the city planning. I mean, I felt like it really was an ironic conversation, but, you know, pre-ULURP, we can only state what the priorities of the community board would be, you know, but the zoning there is limited. Anyway, it was an interest, yeah. Anyway, that's the roundup of the conversation. And that was the only item on our agenda that day. So Christine, do you have anything else you want to add?
No, I think our next meeting will be a very interesting one. I encourage people to attend.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. I'm so excited about having the opportunity to talk about this. So Rob Bash, who I've been talking to a little bit about that site, is also going to attend. So it'll be interesting to hear his input too. Anyway, that's land use. Let's see, who else is next? I don't remember. Transportation. Oh, environment. I'm sorry. Land use and environment and tech. Environment, Frank?
Yes, sorry. Can you hear me? Yeah. So for environment, we actually invited somebody to come speak about local law 97, which was really interesting. I think they should present to land use as well. This was actually legislation that passed that requires the city to look at buildings and their carbon emissions, but it doesn't take into effect until 2021 and 2030. And depending on the type of building it is, if it's a commercial building, affordable housing building, the requirements are different, right? So it was really educational, and our speaker actually brought up multiple examples of buildings within our community board district, stating, look, this building owner would have to pay like $80,000 a year in fines, right? And this is what it would be. And he was actually a great contact because he's basically a free consultant to building owners that want to become more efficient. So if they're looking at, beyond just installing more modern facilities, they can provide a free assessment and for any building owner. So the goal is not for the city to fine property owners more money, right? But to become a little bit more efficient. And this is something that is looming. And I think we're going to have them send out the presentation, but it was really an interesting presentation. And I think it's something that we don't really necessarily think as much, right? Just how much emissions a building could give out, especially some of the older buildings. So other than that, we did have a tree stewardship event with Trees NYC, which Tom, Warren, and Roz came out with. I thought it was really great. This guy's presented to 5 community boards, but he said we were the only community board that actually agreed to have an in-person event. So we actually planted 500 flower bulbs and took care of some tree pits in South Sunnyside. There's gonna be a video and some photos. I can share it with everybody once it's created with Trees NYC, but it was a great event too as well. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, fantastic. Any questions for Frank? Oh, great job. Tech.
Hey everyone. First of all, thanks Debbie for getting our Zoom account up to 500 people. So I'm not sure I want to see the issue that gets us to 500 people someday if we ever fill that limit, but now we can. Thanks Debbie, and thanks Debbie for also sending out that email that with the what was it called? It was called the Emergency Broadband Benefit Program, which Frank originally sent to me. So thanks Frank as well. That is that's a benefit for families with children in the public schools, NYC schools, and in public schools all around the country, and it's about $600 a year for internet and broadband and other tech-related services. So it's not being promoted very well. So glad that we can do something, we can help get the word out. Otherwise, for this month for the tech committee meeting, I had something else to deal with, unfortunately, but thankfully Jake was a lifesaver and he led the meeting, so I will let Jake give the rest of the update. Jake, if you're around.
Sure, thanks Anatole. Yep. We had a smooth meeting. Anatole covered the email that Debbie has passed along to the board about the internet deal. We did discuss some adjustments to the naming of our YouTube videos to make them more easily readable by and searchable by humans and by computers, hopefully when we get this transcription service happening. We also discussed moving forward with the Twitter handle, as Debbie mentioned in her report back. She's in process with the DOITT and Twitter on that to try to reclaim the email address that was used for a spoof account. And we are, other than that, I think that's really all we have to report back. We did some brainstorming at the end about ways that the tech community can be of service to the broader community as much as possible. And so actually, I think Roz has taken ownership of spearheading a project to build a survey, design a survey that we can send out to, at least to start with, board members to understand any needs or desire for technical help that individual board members may have to make sure they are able to fully access the activities of the board. So I think we'll be following up with that in future meetings.
Thanks, Jake. Thanks, Anatol. Kat, you have a question?
Oh, yes, sorry, my computer's slow. Yeah, so I am curious about the ability for community board members to have like community board emails. I don't know if that's like a tech committee thing, if that's a office borough president, like I don't know.
So what we've done, I can say what I did is I created a Gmail account that was, L Deller CB2. So it's not a New York City.gov account. It was just my email account where I forwarded. I had everyone who was dealing with community board business send community board stuff to me at that email. So if you have a Gmail account, I highly recommend that's what you do.
Okay, I mean, I think that's a great sort of option in the short term, but I guess I'm sort of also asking the larger question, if the office or the borough president is thinking about this because of the way that, what's it called, FOIA requests and things happen. Just seems like it would be a good thing to protect the community board members, the volunteers.
This did once come up at a borough president's tech committee 2025, right, Anatol?
I don't remember exactly what it was, Maurice. If you do, please.
If I remember correctly, I vaguely remember them talking about looking into that, thinking that it would be good for CBs to have email. I don't know. I guess with somebody we can follow up about that if it's something they are really doing.
Debbie, do you know who we would speak with for that?
So, Debbie, why don't you comment on that?
The government accounts are for employees only. And that's what we've been told. That's why all of our chairs and executive create this separate Gmail that you would use only for communication with the community board, and that becomes the only account that becomes foilable. They did not open it up because remember, you have 14 community boards in Queens, 49 in the city of New York, and you'd have to create government accounts for each.
There are 50 members on every
50 members on
board.
each board, and they have not gone down that road.
Okay, I thought I'd just put it out there and ask.
It's okay.
Yeah,
It
Maury,
comes up every year,
go
and
for
I
it.
take the borough president's office and do it, and they all deal with that question on a regular basis. And I can understand and sympathize with you as well. So.
And like, if you think about it, the email isn't, communityboard2.nysc.gov, right? It's CB, it's all community boards. So it's yeah, I'm sure it's gonna, if we try to look into it, it's gonna be a bit of a headache.
Mary here, perhaps this should be a budget, something that we would want to put as a budget initiative, because if we're looking to add that many accounts, that becomes a management issue that somebody in the city would have to actually manage all the accounts for community board people. So while I think it's protect, there's a certain level of like wanting to protect privacy and, not mixing your personal with community board affairs. I think adding that many people and how many people come in and out of community boards, it becomes an administrative cost. Because I would imagine there would just be one person that would have to be hired just to manage those accounts on a regular basis. Adding people, taking them off, permissions, that sort of thing. So I think it becomes a more budget management issue as well. That's
To be
just my thought on it.
continued. So that's the tech committee report. Thank you all. Transportation.
Sorry to interrupt. I'm just seeing in the chat that Ty might have to go.
Oh, Ty, do you want to go now?
No, Ty left. I saw the.
I think she
brown
jumped
and
off already, yeah.
gray.
Okay, so I guess we don't have, okay, sorry.
So, okay, she had to leave, and Steve, I have to leave the meeting. City Services minutes tell the story. I guess the Health
I
and
guess
Human
that was
Services-
Steve's approval of the minutes to get out, so we
And
will.
then I guess the Health and Human Services minutes tell the story too. So let's go to transportation.
Thank you, Lisa. And before my comment about email, I've always relied on living by the principle, don't put anything in email that you don't want hanging on a bulletin board somewhere. So that's my recommendation for all while we wait for a citywide email. So going to transportation now. November Transportation Committee update. So we spoke about many enforcement issues in Wynwood Gardens, Blissville, Sunnyside, Woodside, and Long Island City. They included parking, ignoring street directions, drag racing, donut spinning, etc., etc. But we also spent the beginning part of the meeting speaking of Thomas Panto, who died on the Honeywell Bridge, a victim of a vehicle. Spent a considerable amount of time speaking of that. We then went into citywide initiatives, and we spoke of inviting other agencies, not just DOT, to the Transportation Committee meeting. And we will have our first visit, at least recent visit, with a member from the MTA, New York City Transit, coming in next month. We intend at that meeting to address station upgrade updates, accessibility issue updates, Long Island Railroad service updates, station improvements. Other agencies that we're looking to invite and have extended invitations to include Accessoride, bike share, car share, scooters, moped programs. Hearing about the updates on the docks. I know in my neighborhood, we've been looking for city bike docks now since I think they were first created. We'd love the New York City Ferry to come and talk to us, like what's going on with them. So transportation is not just about DOT, there's all these other things that we can talk about. Then we went into a whole bunch of updates from DOT. We went into neighborhood updates. We spoke about all these improvements and things that we have accomplished, and you can find them all in the minutes. But what saddens me is that, I begin my presentation today speaking of someone's death, and today we had another death, and that was Kyung Chu, who died also in South Sunnyside today. Not today, but yesterday, actually. So my personal plea is, for all of us to put our heads together, we have to fix this. I don't have the answer. Not any one of us has the answer, but maybe all of us collectively could come up with an answer. And so I just implore us all to work together to help find an answer so that way we can stop talking about people dying. That's my update tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Tom?
Yeah, Tom, were you able to get in touch with anyone from NYC Ferry to come speak to you guys?
So I do not believe we have accomplished that yet, but it is on our list. Right now, we have heard from MTA.
Okay, I am happy to share my contact at the ferry if that's helpful. Otherwise,
Excellent. Yes. So if you like, you could shoot that to Debbie and copy myself and Jill. That'd be great.
sure. Okay.
Thank you.
It's great. Camille?
Thank you. Similar to the comment about NYPD earlier, comment about buses idling or even parking in streets, I feel like they are also causing a traffic hazard and causing it to be dangerous for both pedestrians as well as cyclists. I see it on Jackson Avenue a lot and in other areas around LIC. So I don't know what the best forum is to.
Thank you, Camille. I think it would be a perfect opportunity for our next transportation committee because they're going to be present and we get to ask them questions. So just a point of clarification for me, is this buses just waiting for their next run? Like what are they, if you know, what are they doing idling? But are they just waiting or?
I don't know. It doesn't appear that the driver is in there. They seem to just.
Is it, and forgive me for interrupting, is it the end of the run? Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, is it the end of the beginning of the line?
I don't know the route. I'm a driver and a pedestrian.
Got it.
On weekends.
But it's on Jackson and where?
I'm blanking on the cross street.
Okay, no worries. If you want to, like, it would be helpful. The more details I have, the better I can address it with them.
In front of the 3 Jackson, that's the address.
Excellent.
Or the vanity address.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Arts and culture.
All right. Okay. We had 2 community groups who were not yet nonprofits, but doing great grassroots efforts. The Little Manila Queens Bayanahan Arts, which was not spelled correctly in the minutes, which I apologize for not catching. It's a vibrant community group in Little Manila. And the Queens Collaborative is based in Astoria, but is open to all Queens artists. And they've actually rented a space for a 6-month period where over the holidays they're going to be selling artworks. And I think they're still open to other artists contributing. So it's called the Queens Collaborative. All of the information is in the minutes. To me, both groups have collaborative models that I think are worth exploring and supporting where we can. My last item is in the spirit of today's transition. I'm very happy to announce that Karija will take on the role of full committee chair. Karija has been an amazing partner and co-chair, and if you've sensed the energy coming from our committee, it has been in large part from her efforts. So I'll turn it over now to our new Arts and Culture Chair for what's on for the agenda.
And thank you, Kenny, for all your years of service on the board and for chairing arts and culture for a very long time.
And I'm still
amazing.
Around. I'm still around. Thank you.
Congratulations, Karija.
Thank you, Kenny. Yeah, I could not have done this on my own. So thank you for all of your guidance and leadership and knowledge, not just in arts and culture in our district, but a full board experience overall. I was teasing Kenny the other day that he's now pushing me out of the nest, so now I have to fly on my own. But yeah, so some things that we've been working on as a committee, I've really felt that the work that we can do as a committee and also in collaboration with other committees such as land use can be really reinvigorated. I think we have a big responsibility to better represent the many arts and culturals that exist in our district specifically. So we've been working on sort of like a draft list of objectives and goals that we want to do and achieve in the next new year. So we will keep you guys updated of that. If anybody also wants to join our committee and keep referring arts and cultural groups that you know of that we should know about and help uplift their work, that'll also help inform us how we can be a better resource and be of better service to all the artists that exist here. And then for our upcoming meeting, we will be having the Tibetan Center. They're based in Woodside. They're called the Tibetan Center of New York and New Jersey. They just had a change in leadership, and they're very excited to share with us all of their programming and changes. They've been starting to have programming now after being shut down for so long because of COVID. We're also going to have Richard Mazza speak about his new he has a new theater space in Woodside and a new rehearsal studio space in Sunnyside. And we'll also have Manhatitlan, which is part of our very own CB2 member Carla Perez's group, speaking about their community work. I don't know if you guys saw, they led the Dios de los Muertos observances at Bliss Plaza, as well as Diversity Plaza and Corona Plaza, actually. And then the last thing I want to put out there, because I kept forgetting to tell everybody last month, is that our arts and cultural events calendar is like fully up and running. Thank you, Deb and Anatole, for all your help on that, because that basically took us all year to get going, because I know it's a lot of moving parts. So I'm going to drop that in the chat. So let's please use it. Anybody that has any arts and cultural, anything that's going on, submit it in the form link that we have created, and it'll populate on our website calendar so that we can all know what we're all up to, and make that more of a active resource. I think that's everything for now.
So Carissa, I want to talk about Dancing with the Stars.
Oh gosh. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. So tomorrow is Dancing with the Queen Stars, and our very own Danielle Brecker is going to be competing. So if you guys want to come see Danielle dance for a good cause, we have teamed her up with an award-winning Latin ballroom dancer. So Danielle's gonna bring it, I know, but there are 4 other teams of different community members and our dancers that are also going to be competing, and then we have a panel of community judges scoring them, and we're giving out trophies, and there's going to be a silent disco afterwards for everybody. So yeah, if you guys are around, it's tomorrow at 6 at Culture Lab. Only happens once a year. And yeah, thank you. I'll put that in the chat too.
Wow, go Danielle.
Yeah.
So Ty is gone for Health and Human Services, unless somebody else wants to present for her. But there are minutes that you should have received.
Lisa, not that I will present for this committee, but I do want to make another request again for the subcommittee for homeless shelters to have a voice. And I'm hoping that that will come to fruition. I respect and I applaud those that do join the CAB meetings, but we need to have more of an official voice here at CB2, because our sheltered population, not only in Blissville, but throughout our district, deserves dignified and respectful housing. So I ask and I plead, when will we have a voice? Thank you.
Yeah, Roz, did you have a question?
Sorry,
You need
I have
yeah.
to unmute. I'm sorry.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I want to just totally support and second that, Tom. And I did do some bulb planting this weekend, but we also talked about this. I think this would be a real important mission for health, human services, and education.
Yeah. Great. Thank you. And thanks, Tom. And yeah, I mean, you're right. And you know, Debbie, I mean, the office, the CB2 office has always done, not to say this has anything to do with permanent housing, but they have always done a drive. I don't know, Debbie, if you intend to do that this year, but they've always done a drive clothing drive for the Metro Shelter.
Yeah,
Right, Deb?
yeah, I'm talking more about like Lisa,
No, I know
DHS.
I know what you're talking about. Tom,
All
but
right, all right.
I didn't want to forget to announce that. And Debbie, are you doing that this year or no? Are you still with
Actually,
us?
actually, I was on mute. The Metro Shelter had some devastation from Hurricane Ida. I actually spoke to Maria Tolentello, who runs the Metro Shelter, and we still have some coats that we got donated to the office. So that will probably go to the 108 Precinct Community Council this year. And so we'll see what we could do for next year.
Yeah. And then and I know Dr. Raz has a hand up, but Maury has his hand up, but I just want to point out the extent of what I'm talking about. And the extent I'm speaking of is having DHS move out families with children in the middle of the night from the Home Suite Shelter in South Sunnyside, Blissful Border, and replacing them with the unwanted sheltered population from the affluent Upper West Side. Those affluent, the Upper West Side sheltered men arriving at the Home Suite Shelter and not being able to sleep in beds that night because their wheelchairs could not go up the elevator. This is the voice I'm talking about that needs to be heard by the entire community.
Maury?
Yeah, I was just going to say that perhaps we can have a subcommittee on supportive housing for unhoused people, people that have mental health issues, differing abilities, kind of a subcommittee for within health, and just to kind of address this. And so it's not, it can be an ad hoc committee, maybe, I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, we should try and figure out the housing piece.
Yeah.
I agree. And I think Steve left, so City Services is also in your packet. So I think that's the end of committee reports, unless anybody else has any comment.
I put my hand back up.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah, just very briefly. I mean, I don't think we need to make this a subcommittee of a committee that really is looking for a mission. This is health and human services and education. And I think we should just pour the energy in, let that be an important part of that committee.
Great idea. So, any other comments about the shelter committee, the
I
cab?
just thank
any
you,
of that?
Lisa, for permitting me to take an off-topic item here
No, I
to
mean,
bring it
it's
to everyone's
really-
attention. I appreciate it.
It is a subcommittee kind of without a home. And so it was in transportation for a while, it's been in land use for a while. It's kind of been floating around as its own little entity. And so, yeah, I look forward to, continuing to work with you on that. Obviously not as chair, because somebody else.
Understood. Thank you.
Anyway, so is there anybody else signed up for public comment, Anatol?
Nope. Unless
Well,
if Manny Gomez is back, but I don't think I see him.
Manny, are you here?
Manuel's iPhone. Manny, is that you?
Hi, yes, Anatol.
Oh, hey,
Hello.
Manny, how are you?
Good, thank you so much. All right, no, I just wanted to congratulate the new, board that I come in on, and just like I know the new chair said, we look forward to be part as a community, and of course, as we always have done, to work with each other, respect each other. Sometimes maybe we might not agree with what's going on, but I guess that's what makes this community, and it has made this community great. And I think it's going to keep on being a great community. But we definitely need to involve every single person in the community. So thank you so much for the new chair too, and for the new people that are coming aboard, and looking forward to see the different changes and the progress in our community as a whole community. Thank you.
Thank you, Manny. I have a question for you. Are you doing the Sunnyside Arts Fair this year?
Yes, thank you so much. Because of COVID, we had some changes. Thank you for asking about that, Lisa. And we were able to set it up on the parking of the Queen of Angels School that is on 43rd Street between Skillman and 43rd Avenue. It's going to be on June. It's going to be this November, Saturday, the 13th, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And we have close to 40 artists that are, local artists that are showing, their artwork. We have two different big art fairs, which one of them which is fine arts. But because of COVID, again, we were only able to do the arts and crafts, and it's an opportunity for local, for the local artists to be able to show their work, and right before the holidays, so they could be able to at least bring something to someone that is one of a kind, because I know sometimes they don't make two of the same. So thank you so much for asking regarding that, and we look forward to see all the community come in. We'll have a few of the the patrons of the Arts Cafe, which is are going to be some of a few local restaurants are going to be participating in there as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Manny.
So Sunnyside,
Caricia?
so Sunnyside artists definitely. Thank you for all the patronage for all these many years in the community.
Manny, if you have a flyer, please send it to the office and we'll have it posted on our website.
And
Absolutely.
Caricia, did you have a question for Manny?
Yeah, Manny, do you have an email or a website particular to Sunnyside artists? Because on the Arts and Culture Committee, we would like to reconnect with you guys in that regard.
Absolutely, that will be awesome. Yes, we have, you could connect with us at Sunnyside Artists at Gmail, Sunnyside Artists.inc.
Okay, so sunnysideartists@gmail.com?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I will email you. Thanks, Manny. This is Caricia.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, any other business? Any other old business, new business? Any other questions, comments? It's only 9:45, you guys. No, anyway. So if I had a great big gavel, I would hand it over to Maury now. So for everyone, before I sign off, thank you, as I said before, for your trust and confidence. And it's been great working with all. And Maury and the new executive team, congratulations. Thank you to Sheila. I am indebted to Sheila for a lot of things. And for Nick, thank you to Nick for serving as secretary. Thank you for Kenny for serving as chair of the Arts and Culture Committee. And good luck and have a great month and happy Thanksgiving. And our next meeting is December 2nd with a brand new chair. So, woo!
Thank you, Lisa, for doing an amazing job.
Yes.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you, Lisa. Love
Thank
you.
you so
Thank
much,
you.
everybody. Have a happy Thanksgiving. And
Can
we're
I
signing
make a
off.
motion to end the meeting?
Yes,
I
thank
make
you.
a motion to
Amparo.
adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Bye.
Yes.
Bye.
You got it.
Right.
Happy Diwali.